kill with the warrior poet. Spitting out the facts, artillery loaded. Perfecting our craft, yeah you know we devoted. I know what I want, so I'm staying focused. You hitting up my line, it's on do not disturb. Don't need a fool who can't even back up his words. Had to burn bridges and take different roads. You might think I'm toxic, but homie, I got goals.
All right, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Sounds good.
Alrighty, well, welcome guys to another episode of the Warrior Poet Show. We have G on the house.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing good. I have plenty of things that I have on my mind that I want to talk about. But the most important one, I think, is the elephant in the room, you know? Tell me about your business. You know, how long have you been working on this?
So I kind of grew up in the business. I'm third generation print shop owner.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in it. My dad used to work out of the house and then slowly grew it. So I've been doing it since I was 8. He used to make me fake IDs to get into the largest trade shows in the U.S.
Okay.
So
Fake IDs?
Yes. So you had to be 16 or 18 for certain shows to go in. And I would be 10 or like 13.
What the? And they just accepted a 10-year-old to come into the conventions?
They didn't. They knew, even with the ID, but I was the only minor allowed to be in it, but I worked the booth, so they didn't really care.
Alrighty, well that's very interesting. So you've just been ingrained in the business for quite a bit of time.
Kind of. I didn't really want to do it. Since I had grown up in it, I kind of got bored of it, and I was like, I don't want to work with paper. Paper's not going to be the biggest thing. It's going to be all online, and so I ended up doing real estate for a while.
Okay, I do want to talk about real estate.
I did not enjoy it.
Why?
For me, it's very boring. I have to be very creative, very hands-on, like have something to do. And real estate, it's all paperwork.
And numbers and...
Yes, yeah. I don't like numbers. I'm not a math person.
You know, I have noticed that people who are of the creative types, they don't use too much logic. They use their imagination. Mm-hmm. So with logic comes numbers and statistics and like my friend who you just met. He is all about numbers. He's all about statistics. He is very, very structured and linear in the way he thinks. And I'm like, that's why we complement each other very well, because my mind goes outside the box, you know, and sometimes I need somebody to reel me in, you know. But it is very important to have that kind of imagination, especially in your line of work, you know.
Definitely. I mean, the real estate, it was fun and all. It was good meeting people, but it's the non-creative part. Like, you don't really get to have an outreach besides paperwork and doing housings and all. So I was like, randomly, I just told my dad, I was like, I want to open a print shop. And he was like, are you serious? I was like, yes, I am. And he was like, then quit your job right now. So I quit same day.
Really?
Yeah, we had a 8-hour discussion about it. And then he was like, so just quit. So I quit at like midnight. I was like, I'm not going in. I found something I'm passionate about. So she's like, you know what, do it, go for it. So
that's very exciting. But what was the catalyst? What made you go that, like, okay, the 9 to 5 or whatever ordeal is not for me? Like,
so for a while, I just wasn't feeling it. I was not excited because I had been interning with them for a while. I didn't start because I had to wait for 6 months to get my license and all. So I was taking the classes and just taking the classes. I was like, this is not something I'm going to be passionate about in like 10, 15 years. And I was like, I want to be able to do something that I love doing. So in 10, 15 years, I can grow it instead of feeling stuck in life.
Right.
So I was like, I feel I'm going to be happier being creative and owning a business and doing what I want to do instead of working for someone who's going to tell me what I have to do.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So right now you're essentially the master of your own universe, right? So what direction are you taking the ship?
So we've been open for about a month and a half.
Really? So you just started.
Yes.
You just opened it. Wow. So what you're telling me just happened?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was like the 2nd, 3rd week in November. And we started the same week. So I quit on a Monday, then Tuesday went to the office and we started on it.
Wow.
So we've had a few names picked out because my dad's always had different ideas about what we want to do and what different ways. So we had an idea of doing iPrint Life, which was all about being personal and all. And I love the connection that I can have with people doing a local business. So I was like, you know what, I want to open up a local print shop. Since Apartment Ideas is my father's company, it's more curated to bigger companies, more apartments than it is for the everyday person. Okay,
which is what you're saying, that personal relationship that you create with your clientele, rather than having like an industrial.
Exactly.
You know, that's scary.
Yeah, it was terrifying. I had no idea what I was doing. I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it and we'll figure it out as we go.
Okay. And thus far, have there been any hiccups or things that maybe somebody who wants to start a business should be wary of?
You know, I have a very good support system, so I've never had to worry. My dad's supportive of everything, so randomly just saying, hey, I want to change careers now, he was like, you know what, go for it. I'm there. So my dad's been a really good coach. He's been doing this since he was a teenager. So he kind of already knows everything, so he's able to show me the ropes super easily, and I've worked there every summer since I was 12. So I already know most of the stuff that goes into it, so the production and all.
You know, Gia, I resonate a lot with what you're saying, you know, because my father had a business, a muffler shop.
Oh, wow.
And he always told me, this is going to be yours. This is going to be yours. This is going to be yours. And I'm like, I don't want it. You know,
that was
it's
me
weird.
for the longest
It's weird.
time.
It is weird because it is a blessing, definitely, you know, but for some reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the main reason why we rejected the gifts from our parents is because we want to earn our own stripes.
Yes, exactly. I lived a very privileged childhood, so a lot of things people would think that I was just given, that I didn't really work hard for it. So I was like, I don't want to do print shop. I want to do my own thing.
Right.
So when it came to it, I was like, I worked every summer kind of because I had to. I wanted to work. But then when it became my choice and what I wanted to do, I was like, never mind. I actually have a passion for this. I want to go back to it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when people decide to start businesses, they usually go into what brings them the most money. You know, I've had you know, conversations with several individuals, and they swear by God that they have the greatest idea and they're gonna become millionaires and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm looking at you, at you particularly,
Yes.
and there's fire in your eyes, there's passion. And when I hear these individuals speaking, I'm like, this sounds very dry. This sounds very shallow.
When you do it for the money aspect, it becomes all about that. I mean, of course I love making money.
Of course.
But I prefer the connection of it, like the customer service. For me, I'm a people person, so it's being able to connect. I wanted to do something that people could take with them and that I could be a part of. So a lot of it is like our acrylic artwork that people can print their wedding photos on. And that's something personal that people can hold true to them, put it in their house, and you look at that, and I get to be a part of that.
How much, because I saw on Instagram that you posted yours and Arnold's AZs. AZ's in the house too, guys. So the roof's on fire and everything. But I saw that acrylic canvas, and I was like, that's fucking gorgeous. How much does that run you?
So it honestly depends on the size. They're $229, but right now we're trying to offer a lot of discounts since we just started. I'm trying to get more clientele so people can see what we're doing, because it's not easy to just see over a phone. Like I can post it and people don't really see it as well as I would like them to. So we're actually going to be in the Wedding Expo on the 29th of January, so we can start having people see it and like actually envision what it would be like in their home.
Now, when it comes to networking and growing the business, do you think that linking up with a few photographers would be beneficial?
I definitely think so. Since I do modeling as well as AZ does, we know a lot of photographers, so a lot of the photos we've gotten for our acrylic samples are from photographers that I know.
Really? Okay. So, I mean, you're not necessarily doing something for yourself. You're actually creating this avenue where people can actually link up and create art.
Yes,
you know?
we're actually trying to find a charity currently that we want to give to.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't want to just have a business. I was like, I want to give back to the community. I'm born and raised here, so I've been trying to figure out what exactly I resonate with and could help out with.
And what do you think would that be? Like, off the top of your head, what passion, what is something that you're passionate about that you see, I could probably help out here?
So there's different things. I'm also a pageant girl, so I was able to do, over last year, we had created a thing called, what was it? Cars and Canines, yes. So it's all about adopting dogs, getting dogs adopted, and I love animals. I'm a huge animal person. I have too many.
How many animals do you have? Hey, wait a minute. Now that I think about it, where the fuck is a lizard?
Yes, I forgot. She's very moody right now. They're hibernating. Well, they're hibernating.
Okay.
They're brumating.
So they get feisty?
Mine's just extra moody.
But they're lizards. Aren't they like
emotional?
They have personality.
They have personality.
Wow. I did not know that. I thought they were just cold-blooded
That's what
individuals.
people usually think. No, mine are the sweetest. They're sweet, but they're they're interesting.
Don't tell me you like snakes.
No,
do you like
I
snakes?
actually don't have snakes. My dad
But do you
grew up
like
with
snakes?
snake. Yes.
Oh,
I like
God.
anything that's out of the ordinary. So anything weird like lizards, like you would usually see girls with their like their dogs in their bags. I
Right.
have my lizard in my bag. She comes with me to the mall. She comes with me on flights. She's with me everywhere.
So I'm guessing crocodile skin, purses and stuff. It's out of the question, right?
For me, I've never been really like attracted to like the authentic crocodile
Yeah.
skin and all. I'd rather save my money for
Well,
something else.
I've been looking at cases for my computer, and I'm like, I'll just get like a fake crocodile like skin, like.
I don't really have like if people get it, I'm like, you know what? It's not affecting my life.
Yeah.
I understand that some people are more passionate about the cause. I don't necessarily agree with it, but
Well, crocodiles kill fucking children, so
They
they
do.
can get fucked. But
yes.
But I mean, like getting the fake stuff, I think that's a great avenue for
It
people
is.
because the whole I'm gonna kill a polar bear to wear him is disgusting
it's
to me.
terrible.
Yeah, that is horrible. Because what the fuck, the polar bear's just minding his own business. He doesn't need to be worn as a coat,
I don't see why it has to be a fashion accessory. If we can easily make a fake one, why do we need to go for the real one? And I
Exactly.
know it's to like say, oh, I have money.
Yeah.
I can like afford it. But I don't think it's attractive.
Well, I think that it comes from generations and generations of not having the ability to create fake crocodile skin or mink,
Yes.
fur mink. So we would hunt them, and we would hunt them, and then our lords, our kings, our what have you. I mean, look at Game of Thrones. Like they're adorned with furs that are beautiful. So I think through generation and generation, we've just been subconsciously programmed to just gravitate to that.
Yes.
That's a status symbol, as you say.
Yes, definitely it is a status symbol. I don't necessarily agree with it just
Yeah.
because since I do have so many animals, it's like why do we only hunt certain ones for their stuff and not others? It's like no
Okay.
one's gonna kill their dog to make a coat out of it, but why do we go and hunt other species for it?
Unless you're Cruella.
Yeah.
That bitch will fucking kill. Not even her own dog. She'll kill your dog.
She'll
yeah.
kill everyone else's.
Yeah, it is a conundrum because on one hand you kind of want to, well, me personally, I kind of want to be a show off, but I do care about animals, and perhaps not about crocodiles, but everything else is just gorgeous, like peacocks, eagles. I like birds, but like tigers. People who hunt tigers, they're borderline extinct. The ivory from elephants also, like,
I think
yeah.
it's a shame. I know some people do it culturally. I feel like if you have the money where you can easily buy a coat, just buy a fake one. It's
Right.
Like, don't support the people who are. I know some people do it culturally for like actual purposes, like for warmth and for food.
Right.
But I don't see why, if like the U.S. especially, like we do not need to do that. We don't have to go hunt for like elephants and all. We do it because we can and we want to,
Yes.
not for a need.
Yes, it's like doing burnouts, It's like
Yeah.
that is so unnecessary, but it's like so American at the same time,
It's
you know.
cool.
Yeah.
So it's labeled as cool, and it's like, oh, if I can, I will.
And excuse me, but going back to your business, right? How do you see it in this climate? Because you did mention that everything's digital, right?
It is, yes. So for me personally, I love doing what I call our luxury business cards and our luxury flyers, which is we use caress, which is like a soft touch, and foil. So it's not something you see every day. It's not the normal business cards that people just easily throw away. I purposely try to make ours look more visually and physically appealing. So when you touch it, you want to keep it.
Okay.
Everything's digital, but it's also proven that this day and age, we prefer paper, even though everything's digital.
I think people that you're making a great point, and maybe I'm just brainstorming here, but we have lost the mystique for human interaction because of the
Yes.
internet. We have lost the mystique for even a written letter.
Yes.
I know AZ does written letters, and it's like it is a market to be tapped into because everybody's just sending
It's
their
more
text
sentimental.
message. Exactly. It's more like again the basis of your business is more personal.
It
It's
is.
more intimate.
You can
know?
easily have like someone put their number into your phone, but it's just another contact you have there. I feel getting a personal like card, I'm like, oh wow, this is gorgeous, this feels nice, like I want to keep it.
Right.
So I always tell my clients, I'm like, you want something people are going to keep and remember. And I was like, so we tried leveling it up. And a lot of places in El Paso don't do that. We have one of the only presses that do this in the U.S.
Are you serious?
Yes. So we were the first one to get it in Texas. It's a $1 million machine that specializes in doing the foil and caress.
Oh, what? You guys have some heavy artillery then.
Yes, my dad's gotten it over the years. My dad actually worked out of our garage when I was younger, and he's grown it into a $1 million company.
I want to touch base on, because you keep talking about your father, and it seems to you that you admire him.
Oh,
right?
I love my dad.
Yeah.
My dad's probably one of my best friends.
I'm a father as well, right? And I don't want to see the day where, like, she's an adult and maybe she has a little bit too much champagne on her, and then she starts telling me everything that I did wrong, you know? So how do I mitigate the whole conversation, you know?
You know, my dad and I are very close. We've always been pretty close. When my parents got divorced 2 years ago, we got a lot closer because my dad and I have the same personality. We think a lot of the same things. We think a lot alike. So it was easier for him to talk to me since I understood more of how he was. So we've always been super close. I'm a huge princess. So it's the fact that my dad has given me the same respect that he gives other people he knows. It's not the respect that he's given just his daughter. He talks to me like I'm his friend, so I can feel more comfortable talking to him. And he's not judgmental. It's not like, hey, you fucked up, you're stupid. It's like, hey, tell me what happened, like what your thought process was, and let's figure out how we can change that so it doesn't happen again. I'm like, I mean, I've done stupid things, like I'm sure everyone else has when they're young.
Yeah.
And he never once yelled at me, never got mad. He would just sit next to me and we'd talk about it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think, well, I'm definitely taking notes, you know, but for fathers out there who are listening to this, it's for parents, rather, for parents, you know, I think a lot of times our parents try to forge us into the proper idealistic image that they have created in their minds when you were born, you know, but little by little, experience through experience, we morph into whoever the heck we're going to be, unfortunately, you know?
I feel like parents try to protect their children so much some days that they don't let them learn on their own. They try to do everything that makes sure that their child does nothing wrong that they did when they were younger. So my dad has advised me, he's like, hey, don't do this, don't be dumb. I'll do it though, because I'm stubborn and I prefer to learn on my own and have someone tell me what to do. And my dad knows that. So instead of saying like, no, don't do it, he's like, I don't advise against it. I advise against it strongly, but if you're going to learn on your own, you're going to learn on your own. And if you need me, I'm here. So even like when it comes to drinking and all, he let me have my first drink with him. Parties, I'd go with him. So he's let me learn how much I can handle. So if I'm out, I know my limit. So I only drink with him now. Like, I feel more comfortable with that. I know I'll be safe. So he's just allowed me to have more freedom as a person and grow instead of like holding me against it.
Yeah, keep you in that dungeon on the highest tower, like Fiona, you know?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. That's very important. I believe that what you're saying could avoid like easily 95% of tragedies happening at parties. I'm not gonna get into detail, but a lot of nasty, grotesque things happen to drunk women.
Oh yes.
You know, and it's in part because said woman doesn't know how much she can handle, so she's taking shots, she's having drinks. Second part is that somebody forgot to tell him that fucking there's evil doers lurking, you know. They'll spike your drink and God knows what the fucking next, you know. But me personally, hearing you say this, I'm definitely gonna have a one-on-one with my daughter and tell her all of these things, you know, and give her, because what your father did, in my estimation, is he removed the taboo out of the drinking situation.
It wasn't never drink. It's, you know what, it's gonna happen one day. At least I'll help you learn your limits so you don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So I know, like, if I did get drunk at a party, I could easily just call him and he's not gonna be mad and be like, why would you do that? It's, hey, stay there, I'll pick you up.
And you know when you're already getting to that threshold, so you're like, okay, I'll stop here, I'll drink a bottle of water and let my dad know, hey.
Oh yeah, I know now what my limit is and when to stop, because he's allowed me to explore it instead of saying, hey, just don't drink. Because you can tell everyone, hey, don't do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're not going to.
That sounds like, to me at least, that sounds a whole lot like, go ahead and do it. And don't just do it, like, do it to the maximum. Don't do it to the point where you're going to regret it, you know? And I was a very rebellious kid, and I had very strict parents. Totally
Yes.
different to your story, you know?
I used to. They used to be extremely strict.
Really?
Yes.
I'm assuming your mother more than anything.
Oh, yes. They were both very strict when they were married. It was the divorce that I think I was able to talk to my parents more because my mom ended up needing me a lot more.
Mhm.
And my dad also ended up needing me. So I was able to let them know more about who I was and also get to know more about them instead of just, hey, you're my parents. That's it. I was
Okay.
able to form a friendship.
And how old were you when they got divorced?
16, 17?
16? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's when you're developing your adulthood mentality, you know. So it would have been great for them to stick it up a few more years, you know.
Yes.
But that goes to show, okay, that like relationships are difficult, you know.
They are.
I think we can all agree that like we've at least seen one marriage get dissipated
Mhm.
because of whatever reason, economics, you know, infidelity, etc. Like the list goes on, but the truth is that nowadays marriage is dead, and that's concerning to me.
It's very depressing, you know, as a little girl, like you imagine your big wedding, you're gonna get married to, and like your fairy tale thing. And my parents were married for 20 years. I had a very normal childhood.
Sure.
Where it was my parents were together, I lived a very normal life. I went to private school up till like high school, so I had a very normal life. So when they got divorced, it was kind of like a shocker because no one saw it coming.
Okay.
It was over COVID and it just fell apart, and I was like, oh my gosh. So it was very worrisome because I was always worried, like, I don't want to get married and in 20 years someone just decides they don't want to be with me anymore. But marriage is dead. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of marriages don't work out, or it's people get married because they feel like they have to, or people just don't want to get married anymore. So
I
it
definitely
doesn't-
don't want to get married. Yeah, and it's again like I find that to be a tragedy because forget about the marriage, right? Because at the end of the day, what is it? Just a fucking a contractual
Yes.
agreement, you know. I think when you get married by the church, that's a whole different ordeal,
It
right?
is. I'm Catholic, so we get married by church.
Okay, yeah, I'm going through my catechism right now.
Mhm.
The Catholic Church is a very interesting religion,
is.
very interesting.
It is.
But regardless, if you go through that route, the religious route, or not even the religious route, the spiritual route, you are binding your marriage, your love with God, rather than by the government.
Yes.
You know, it's less superficial, less icky. You know, but my main concern is not the marriage situation. It's the fact that families are not sticking together.
That, and I don't think marriage has the same ideals as it used to. It's like marriage was that you stuck it out, that it was official. Now it's like marriage seems like a loose term.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's like a great way to repel someone. It's like, hey, I'm thinking about marriage. Deuces. You know, men and women, you know. I did consider marriage at some point because I have a kid, you know. So there's another party into this equation. And of course I wanted a family, and of course I wanted marriage with her, you know. The thing is, she didn't want marriage, you know, and it sucks to say, you know, but you could tell, you know, like she is more comfortable knowing that there's an exit door. Like I
Yes.
saw it, you know, I'm like,
Some people want an exit. Yeah.
yes, and I was like, okay, well, this is very incongruent with what you've been telling me, which is like you love me and you're gonna die next to me type of shit, you know, my ride or die.
Yes.
Yeah, but then I bring up marriage, I bring up other situations, and it's like, oh, I see that you're flaking on me without
Yeah,
flaking
you
on
don't
me.
wanna.
Yeah, and yeah, of course, like I saw the writing on the wall, and things, you know, didn't work out, unfortunately. But man, my situation is something that I don't wish upon anybody, you know, because with my kid, it's like there's this one Kanye West song, and I don't recall. It's with Ex Tentacion, and he's basically saying that it sucks, you know, that you literally feel like you're renting out, you're borrowing your children, you know. It's like, okay, well, like here you go,
was
like
a difficult thing.
Yeah,
Being
very
a child
difficult.
of divorce, and then dealing with my dad, who my dad, me and my brother are everything to him. So for him, dealing with not being able to see us every day was extremely hard on him. And I'm like, I don't have kids, so I can't relate to the feeling of not
But I'm
being
sure you
able
missed
to.
your father, you know?
For me, it became very normal for me. I was the one who held it together the most for my family.
Really?
Yes.
How many siblings do you have?
I just have one. I have a younger brother.
Okay.
So my mom got very depressed after, and my brother did not know how to handle it. So I kind of had to suck it up for everyone and be like, you know what? No one's handling it well. We're going to have to figure it out. So at least there's one stable person. My
Right.
dad felt extremely guilty. So it became a whole thing of, I got very used to it. My dad moved out, moved to a new neighborhood, and I just got used to the system. I'm with my mom all week, weekends with my dad. But then he would be like, well, I want to see you guys. And I think it was harder hearing how upset he would be that he didn't get to see us and how emotional it made him. Because for me, it became normal.
Mhm.
And when something becomes normal, it's not hard. But for everyone else, it was harder. So it was seeing everyone else's reactions.
Well, when you go through loss, when you go through separation,
Yeah.
there is a period where you're in grief, right? And for everyone, it's different. For some people, it's just a couple hours. For others, it's a couple of years. And unfortunately, for the very unfortunate, it's a whole lifetime, you know? But you have to move forward at some point. And it's like, I keep hearing this message over and over again. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Your girlfriend broke up with you? Fine. Your parents got divorced? Fine. And there was a death in the family? Fine. But are you going to allow your depression and your sadness to make you into a loser? It's better to be a sad winner than a sad loser,
Yes.
you know? Definitely. So I'm sensing that you have a very strong base mentally and emotionally, which is very important for an entrepreneur.
I believe so. For me, it has to do a lot with other people. Since I am a people person, it's a lot how people affect me and how I affect them. So I knew if I didn't handle it well, it was going to affect everyone a lot more. And my mom's still grieving. Like, my mom was grieving very, very, very hard at first. So it'd be, I needed to make dinner, I had to support my brother, I had to make sure we were all good, I had to take care of my mom at the same time. So it became a thing of, you have to have a strong mentality to help everyone else around you who cannot at the moment. So it's not going to help anyone if everyone's grieving at the same time and if no one's strong there. So I was like, you know what, you can have a strong mentality and be strong for everyone else, and then when they're strong, then you can take your time to think about it and grieve yourself.
Okay. That sounds like leadership to me. How do you use your leadership skills outside of the house? How do you impact the world in the same way you impact your family? Can you hold on?
Go for it.
Oh, I'm scared that's going to fall. Let's do this. Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
That way you can speak a little bit more
Great.
into the mic. Try it.
Perfect. Hello? Is it all good?
Yeah. I don't know if you want to scoot your chair a little bit.
Better?
Yeah, try it.
Hello?
Yeah, perfect.
Better? Perfect. So, I mean, I've always kind of taken what I call my big sister role for everyone else. I've always kind of had a need to take care of everyone else. I like to think I'm very maternal. Even when I was younger, I always cared for everyone else. I try to impact people the best way I can. So since I'm a pageant girl, I was one of the oldest ones in my pageant group, and everyone, I love them to death. When I love very hard. So I love taking care of people and having them also feel like they can talk to me. I'm a very open person, so I prefer deeper conversations than just little small talk. So I ended up being voted Miss Congeniality because of my relationship with the girls. I still talk to them. I always check up on them. So I feel like I'm a leader in a sense of I can take care of everyone and let people rely on me.
And my apologies, but I am a knucklehead. But I will acknowledge that I don't know what congeniality means.
It's kind of their way of saying that they're the nicest person in the group.
Okay.
So for me, that was a big thing. I actually ended up crying about it.
Seriously.
So
It was an honor.
It was, because there's a lot of girls. There were, I think, 40 of us, and it's not an easy thing. It's a long weekend. A lot of people, I don't think, understand what you go through during pageant week, but you're already stressing about how you look constantly. So it's a lot about your self-image, and you have to make sure you're always presenting yourself well to the best of your abilities. So even interview, we were all stressing. A lot of us would cry in the bathroom after because it's so stressful, because it's all about yourself.
You included?
Yes. Oh, I cried. I was so stressed that week. It's a 4-day thing, but you're in heels 8 hours a day. My feet had blisters and bruises. My feet were, oh God, they were terrible. I would have to soak them in ice for hours. It was a long week. So even backstage, it's hard because I'm a very competitive person. I play tennis, I play volleyball, soccer, basketball. So I went in with the mindset thinking, you know what, I don't need to be friends with anyone. I just need to get in there and get the job done. But you create a bond with these girls. It's everyone's stressing and you're all trying to help each other out because you're all going through the same thing. Everyone's mentally exhausted. Everyone's feet are hurting. You're all worried about how you're looking. So we're all backstage trying to help each other get ready. So we would all be crying backstage because we were all so proud of each other. It's like we went through all this together. It's tons of classes, preparing for interviews, and it's stressful.
Right.
It's not an easy thing. A lot of people think, oh, you just go on stage and look pretty. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, I know it's fucking difficult, you know. But the thing is, like, why do women go through such lengths to achieve a certain level of beauty? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of place here.
No,
right?
no, not at all.
But it's
That's a
like
question.
you guys really put yourself through a meat grinder just to look pretty, you know?
So I've done modeling. For a while, I was very self-conscious of myself. So I used to get very mad because I know they have like plus size models and all, but I was very skinny to a point where I looked like I would be called a twig constantly. Like I was just very skinny. I had no body, so I was very insecure about that. And a lot of people were like, "No, you're lucky. You don't have to worry about gaining weight." I was like, "No, when you get called anorexic and all, and they're like, "Oh, you look like you have an eating disorder." Like that doesn't feel great.
They used to call me the Reaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you understand when you're.
Yes, because it goes both ways, you know. On one hand, I can only imagine what it's like to be overweight.
Yes.
You know, but to be underweight, it's like as a man, I don't know as a woman, but as a man, it's very, very emasculating, you know, because you see a strong man before you, and it's like, man, like I don't know if I could go toe to toe with these big guys, you know, and then you have other guys who don't have a filter. They'll just be like, oh, look at this skull face guy, you know, like, oh, look at the, like you said, the twig, you know, and it's very important us as human beings to know when to pump the brakes and use criticism, constructive criticism, because
everything can be said in a nice way.
Exactly, but it's like if you go the other route, you're using malice. You're not helping anybody out. You're not even helping yourself.
I think even when people try to make it seem like jokes, it's still something personal. Like you don't know what someone's insecure about.
Yeah.
So I used to get very upset because they're like, "Well, you're not fat," and I was like, I'm sure people who are overweight they get criticism, but being extremely underweight also gets its fair share, and people don't realize that because it's like, oh, you're lucky. But when people ask you, oh, have you eaten today? Are you eating? Or, oh, do you even eat? Like, you look anorexic. Do you throw up after you eat? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm just naturally very skinny.
The metabolism is on.
Exactly. So I was very hard on myself for a while because it's like, you know, being Latina, you want the full hourglass, like the hips and booty and all. So for me, that's what I wanted. That's what I was used to, being that we're in El Paso. It's the curvy look. So I didn't like that I was so skinny. So I had joined modeling in attempts to get some of my confidence back because, you know, especially through middle school, you go through that.
Like, the soul searching to see who I am. And it's like you usually don't find out who you are till after high school. But during that whole process, you're thinking that everything that everyone tells you is Bible. You're thinking, man, maybe I am ugly. Maybe I am a little bit underweight, and maybe I don't deserve to have this. Or maybe I don't, you know?
I went to an all-girls school, too, so it was not easy.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yes, I went to a Catholic all-girl private school.
You're dropping, like, little things in the conversation where I'm like, I want to deviate there. And I'm like, no, I want to deviate there, you know?
It's great.
Okay, so...
It's been interesting. So, I mean, being there, it was very, like, they all try to uplift you, but you still get the little comments. So, for me, it was very hard because middle school, especially for girls, is when you start like becoming more self-conscious of everything. I feel like middle school is where you make or break your confidence. It's either you're going to become super confident and you're going to believe in yourself, or you're going to be very hard on yourself. So I struggled with that all throughout middle school, and then my freshman year, so I was like, you know what, I want to rejoin modeling. So a long talk with my dad, and I ended up rejoining, and that helped me a lot more because it was like, okay, I can see people who look a little more like me. I see people of all shapes and sizes, and no one puts each other down. They don't allow you to feel bad about yourself.
You know, that's very interesting because I would think that it's like a very cutthroat industry, you know, where people are like very Machiavellian and they're plotting against you. And perhaps, oh, you look real nice today. Wow, did you do your makeup? And then she's like, did you see that, bitch?
Oh, you know? I'm sure, probably. But for me, I've made a lot of relationships with the girls. I love those girls like they're sisters, especially because a lot of the pageant girls are also my modeling girls. So I've made those connections to where I even like try to build up the younger ones, because since I was one of the oldest ones, they're all 13, 14. My brother was their same age when I had done pageants. So for me, it was really hard because a lot of the girls would be like, oh my God, I look fat. And that hurt me personally because it's like, no, don't say that about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. And I was like, so for me, it was really a lot to make sure that these girls were feeling good about themselves. And especially because we are models. So automatically we had the stereotypes of we're stupid, don't really know what we're doing. So I made it a point to be like, I'm educated. I was like, I graduated high school early. I started business right out of high school. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm not just a pretty face. And for me, beauty is very stereotypical. It's like one shape and form.
I disagree with you.
Well,
I think it's
not
subjective.
in that sense. I think people think it's very.
Well, there's the status quo, and I think for touching back on the whole hourglass look, that wasn't always the case.
No.
Sometimes, and even look at the Victoria's Secret models, like
Yes.
they're not necessarily curvy, you know. The thing is, Kim Kardashian came into the scene, and she is just obnoxiously curvy, and it's like, look at her unedited pictures, you know, like it's disgusting.
Social media makes you think, oh wow.
Oh yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, with like her full blown like pictures where she's like where she's that bitch, and every girl wants to be that bitch.
Yes.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, why do you guys want to be bad bitches? Why don't you guys want to be
I think it
females?
follows the trend.
Okay.
And bad bitch for me is like a mentality. So I usually tell when we go out, I'm like, when I dress up, I try to think I'm the baddest bitch there is, which for me is saying I'm the most confident and not trying to compare myself to everyone else I see. Because for a while I'd be like, oh my God, she's way prettier than me. Look at her boobs in that dress. Look at how nice she looks. And I hated when I would do that, because then I'd start feeling like really uncomfortable with myself. And I was like, oh gosh. So my idea of a bad bitch mentality is you're confident, you're out there, you think you're owning it. And it's not putting anyone else down.
Right.
It's like, you know what, I work hard, I look good, I'm going to prove it, and I'm going to show it.
Okay. I like that philosophy. I definitely do. And me and AZ actually spoke about that a little bit, which is like, you have to look into the mirror before you walk out the door and say, I am one bad MFer, you know? And I resonate with that. What I don't resonate with is the certain few women that take it one level past that, where they actually start incorporating masculine tendencies to their character. You know, that's kind of a little bit weird to me, you know, where they want to be dominatrix, where they don't want to rely on a man. I get it, you know, like, women are 100% in a different realm now. Honestly, like, it's
not like how it used to be. It's
different.
Not. I have a lot of my friends who I classify as bad bitches, where it's like, you don't want to rely on anyone. And personally, I don't ever want to have to rely on someone. I always feel like for me, bad bitch mentality, it's like being independent. Like, I don't need a man. It's, if I want one, like, I found the right one, but I don't need one to support me. I'm like, I want to support myself and be like financially stable and all, and not have to rely on anyone. Especially because my mom was a stay-at-home mom and my dad worked all the time. And when they got divorced, my mom now has to go back to school. She's going to school for nursing now, but she didn't have a career.
Okay.
So I always wanted to make sure that I could be independent on my own and not have to rely on anyone. But I think that's just a new thing now, where it's, since more women are working, and it's like, you can be a stay-at-home mom, and stay-at-home moms have the hardest job.
Yes.
And I was like, but you also have the choice now, where if you want to work, you can, and you can do it on your own.
Women definitely have a choice now, and that's beautiful. To me, that's like 100% like a blessing, you know, to see what women can do, what women can bring to the table. You know, you yourself are already creating an ecosystem where photographers, where businessmen or other entrepreneurs can thrive, you know, and connect. You know, I'm actually gonna show you my business cards and see what you think.
Oh yes,
you know,
we can definitely do
I have some business ventures that I have in mind, and perhaps we'll link up with the business cards for those. You know, but you know. And this is seriously my concern, and it's not you women particularly, but it does have to do with that bad bitch mentality. And it's, look at the pressure, the PSI pressure of a man's handshake. It has gone down, I believe, 20 pounds since in the last 20 years. Women's, on the other hand, it has gone up 10 pounds. So what are we looking at just by handshake pressure? Women are becoming stronger, and men are becoming weaker. And I don't think this is a consequence because women are free to do whatever they want. It's because we are failing women to be that pillar, to be that strength that you guys could rely on. So you guys are taking hands into your own matters, you know, matters into your own hands rather, you know. Do you agree with what I'm saying?
Partially. I know just from like a dating aspect, the dating pool is terrible. It's shit.
What do you say now?
Because now I feel like there's so many labels as to what people want. It's like, it's not where it's just, hey, I like you, let's go out and see where things take us. It's, oh, are we cuddle buddies? Are we fuck buddies? Are we just like friends with benefits? And I don't believe in that. It's like, if you like someone, then be with the person. I don't play games.
Don't dilly-dally.
Exactly. So I don't know why there's so many loose terms for it. So, I mean, personally, before I met AZ, I was done dating. I was like...
Really? How old are you?
I'm 18.
You're 18 and you were done dating?
I was done dating. I mean,
Wow.
I've known enough guys. I've seen other people's relationships. And I got very tired of it. I was like, I'm going to live my single life, have fun. But it was just exhausting because there are very few men who still act like men, who want to, like, be mature enough and, like, take care of themselves and their future. Now it's all, like, they're just laid back. They're like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. And I don't believe in that. I'm like, I want someone who has goals and who is willing to grow as a person. And a lot of people in this generation just don't seem like they want to.
No, they don't. And it's because we are a group of individuals, men in particular, that are running through life without direction, without a plan, without a goal, without a vision, you know? And, man, that's sad to me, you know, because I am looking at the scope, not the dating pool or not the Tinders. I'm looking at the world, and the world is so fake, you know. Everything is just based on such superficial parameters, you know. And even the whole swiping left, swiping right, like
no one
thought?
makes a connection anymore. To me, it's like everything's over the phone. But I mean, I can't say anything. I met him over.
Really?
He was my Instagram crush.
Oh, well, that makes two of us. He's a handsome man. I mean, what can I say?
He's very put together, which I liked, because
Yes.
now no one seems to really care about how they physically look some days. It's very much just, there's no style anymore.
I feel like this guy saw a Pitbull interview or something, because Pitbull says the same thing. He's like, my grandma told me that if I'm going to go to the corner store and buy some milk, it doesn't fucking matter what I'm going to do. I'm going to be looking my utmost best because I don't know who I'm going to be cross paths with.
I always worried about that. I was raised like that. My mom always made sure, like, when we went out, we looked nice. I mean, now owning a business, I go in early, so I relax a lot more. But anytime I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to have a client come in, make sure I'm dressed nice. It's like, I'm going out to the mall, make sure I'm dressed nice, because I don't know who I'll run into. I know a lot of people, like, I don't want to be caught sweatpants, my Crocs, and hoodies.
Right.
When I should be presenting myself to my best level, because I feel the way I dress reflects my personality.
Yeah. And tell me more about your personality, because I can see what you're wearing, but it's like, how do we conceptualize it in words? Who are you as a person?
Oh, gosh, that's a interesting question. The way I dress is very different, I believe.
It is. And you know what? It's very congruent and very, it's like you guys were meant to date, you and Arnold, you know? Because it's like, imagine if you wear the one that wears sweatpants and Crocs and then you're going to the mall with him.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
like,
Oh, gosh. On one of our dates, he was like, we were dressing up, and he comes to the door, and I thought I was dressed up all nice. And then he comes to the door, and I'm like, I'm going back inside. I need to change. I was like, no. And I was like, he just has a different level, which I've always wanted to be able to dress to that level, but I wouldn't dress like that myself, because it's like, oh, usually if you go to the mall in a nice dress, people are like, oh my God, what is she doing?
yeah, well, look, ma'am, when I see him and his style, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing, you know? And I look at myself and I'm like, torn jeans? It's like, what is this? This is blasphemy, you know?
Oh, it's still better than how a lot of men dress. Oh, God.
Well, let me tell you the truth. The Jordans and the snapbacks and the baggy clothes, it's like, it has its merit, you know? I think we need flavors, you know? We cannot demonize the groups of people that we don't jive with, you know? We need them. But what I'm saying is that, like, we also need more people like us, you know, people who are operating on a higher octane, not just mentally, not just monetarily or with your businesses. It's like, and me personally, I'm respecting myself to the utmost level, and you're gonna be able to see that just by looking at how I dress. You know.
Exactly. I'm like, I mean, I went through that phase where it was like crop tops and booty shirts, but I didn't like that that's how I was being portrayed, because you also get it from the other gender. The way you dress, that's how they will treat you. So if you dress very like promiscuous, that's how you would be treated. And I never wanted to be treated like that. I was like, I want to be treated with respect. So I felt like I needed to respect myself more the way I dressed. But that's just me personally. I know some girls, they prefer to dress in crop tops and booty shirts, and that's how they feel respected. Like, everyone just has their preference. But for me, it was feeling the way I dress, the way I felt most confident. I wanted to be respected by the way I dress. If I look classy, I expect to be treated like I was classy.
You are demanding respect, and anybody who watches this is like, I don't know who she is, I don't know what she's about, but I respect her just by looking at you, you know. And I'll talk about this, but like in a very vague manner, because it's not my story to tell, you know. But essentially, this woman, she has been she's in the adult entertainment industry, you know, and she's very vocal about it. She's very open about it, and I guess she got entangled with another guy, and she was like basically saying, "Oh, I really like you," and she was like head over heels for him, right? And the guy, "Oh yeah, I like it too, yeah. And first date type, like, hit it and quit it, the situation, you know, and she's upset. And she's pissed off, and she's saying how he's a little dick nigga, you know. and it's like, okay, well, he just has his fun, and then he treats me like a workout, and then that's it, you know. Like, what a fucking dick. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you let him know right off the bat where your line of work is, so you already know that he already knows that you are more easily enticed to a sexual experience. Secondly, you say, oh, well, I didn't, because she made it clear he didn't, you know, assault me. I let it happen, you know. I'm like, and you let it happen on top of that. Like, you have a voice. You could say no. Yes. And the fact that you didn't say no leads me to believe that you really did like him, and you really did want that experience, you know. The thing about men is that once that happens, okay, duly noted. That was not a hunt. That was not a kill. It's something that could put on the scoreboard. That was just a layup.
You know, I hate that a lot of times it's like, oh, the first date they expect you to put out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, even like when I dress nicely, it seems that that's like a lot of what guys want on the first date. I'm like, I just want to have a good time, enjoy myself, not have to worry about, oh, is he just wanting to get into my pants after all? Because I feel like that's no matter how you dress at this point, it's because I can dress super nice and they'll still want that. So you have to really make sure that you're with the right person. But I know, like, even people who are in the adult entertainment, that's how they want to dress, and that's how they are. I'm like, I'm not one to judge. I'm like, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, but you don't...
But make sure that you're getting the utmost respect, and don't settle for less, because when you allow yourself to be like, oh, okay, I'll put out the first date, then you're diminishing the respect you get.
But not only that, it's like, if you already got to that point, don't complain. Like, absolutely don't complain to anybody, because you already know what the fuck happened, you know? And I'm sounding calloused, you know, because I feel like a lot of these women are troubled, you know? They have wounds in their souls, and they make amends with their pain by drinking alcohol, consuming drugs, and then dancing in a pole. The fuck? Where's the healing in that? You know? I'm no stranger to those joints, but let me tell you, the first time I went to those spots, I got sad. I got really sad, and I started thinking, every single girl had a very destructive path that led her here. You know, oh, hi baby, they seem happy, but when you look into their eyes, bottomless pit of pain.
I know sometimes it's like you do what you got to do, especially because I know some of those women have children that they have to provide for. I know other women simply do it because they enjoy doing it. I mean, I had taken a few pole dancing classes because it's a good workout.
It definitely
is. It's definitely different than portraying yourself. But at the end of the day, if that's what you feel confident doing, that's what you like doing. I'm like, but it's different from when you're in that industry, but you should still demand respect. If you allow yourself to be disrespected, no one's going to care. Yeah. It's like, if you don't treat yourself with respect, it's like, you can do that, but if someone's trying to get into your pants, you say, hey, not into that. I know this is what I do as a job, but don't disrespect me by just asking for that. Because they allow themselves to be more artwork than actual people.
I have been that guy who wanted to get, and it's because I was dating a stripper, and I thought, okay, I'll buy her a steak, a few drinks, and we'll close out the night with fireworks. She didn't let me. She demanded respect, and I respected her. And I was like, wow, I want to have a second date with her, you know?
Women need to allow themselves to be respected instead of saying, hey, you know what, I'm easy, do whatever you want. It's like, no, allow yourself to be respected, and you'll get respect in return.
And men too. And this is where I'm going to talk to my younger self and say this, you know? It's like, to conduct a very powerful seduction, you need to postpone the fireworks as long as possible to really encapsulate, to really crystallize the love, you know, because seduction is basically that, conjuring up these emotions, you know. And if you already going to bed with them on the first date, and then like what you didn't build the foundation to actually have that experience be powerful.
Nowadays, it's like, I know sex used to be a thing of, it was because you had a connection. That's why they were like, oh, wait till you guys get married and all. Because you have that connection. Now it seems like sex is just so, like, thrown around. It's like, who cares? It's like, let me just do it. I don't know you, but you want to fuck? Yeah, let's do it.
Well, yeah, that's the whole Tinder culture, right?
It's sad because I don't feel like younger me, you don't expect that. Like, little girls think, you know what, guy's going to treat you.
Prince Charming's gonna show up.
Yes, Prince Charming. And then you get older and you're like, oh, you're not Prince Charming. You're like, you look like one, but you're not. You're like, you just want to do stuff and that's it. And it's sad because I know I have a lot of cousins. So my dad said I have 18 cousins.
Well, female cousins?
So they're 3 boys, 15 girls and 3 boys.
Excuse me.
Yes, 4 boys. Yeah, so it's hard because I see the younger ones and it's like, you know, they have their little crushes and all, but you have to be more careful. And I always tell them, like, guys, just be careful. Make sure that they actually want you for you and not just for your body. Because that's a lot of what it is now.
Well, let's put it like this in these terms. For a healthy relationship to stand, sex has to be part of it, no doubt, you know? But the thing is, when you're getting into that process, you know, the problem now is that like people don't want to go through the process, you know. They want fast food in their relationships, and that's soulless. That's where the devil lies, you know. To me, that's gross, you know, because how many diseases and nastiness is now going around by you being so irresponsible, you know. And unfortunately, a lot of the babies are being born out of wedlock. A lot of babies are being fucking aborted because of this culture that we're talking about.
It's sad, especially because luckily my mom even gave me the option. She was like, I got birth control like when I was 16 because she told me, she's like, if you ever do it, just be safe. I'm like, birth control sucks. It makes you feel super shitty. I have an IUD. It is the worst thing I've ever done to myself.
Can you tell me a little bit more about because I've heard about the hormonal imbalance that it creates.
It's bad. So originally I had an Explanon, which is an iron rod they put into your arm, and that one I was fine with for a while, and then a year and a half in, I would get a period 3 weeks out of a month.
Oh,
so
shit. So the whole month you're bleeding. Oh, what
so
the fuck?
it was already terrible because it comes with the emotionalness, like it comes with all the emotions, and I get a lot of like premenstrual period like symptoms where I get very self-conscious, and it's just body dysmorphia. A lot of people have it, where the entire week before you just get very insecure about everything, and I would get really badly bloated. So I ended up taking the pill to try to counteract that and get my hormonal balance, and didn't work. So I ended up getting an IUD. And that is the worst thing I've ever done. They don't recommend it unless you had a kid before. For that day, I've never experienced pain like that. I was crying for hours. I was in fetal position. It hurt so bad. And I don't think a lot of people understand how it feels, which is terrible because they don't educate you on birth control methods and what it does to your body. It's terrible. So when I got it, for the first 6 months, I would have cramps that were like contractions. I still do. So they're contraction level cramps. So I was still in my senior year, so I was out of school like 3 days out of the week because I'd have to go home because I'd be crying or I'd be throwing up because of how bad my cramps were. And every now and then it still gets like that. It's terrible.
I think that's why women are constantly very linear and stable throughout history, you know? Because you guys are battling pain all the fucking
Oh,
time. If
yeah.
it's not because of your fucking heels, it's because of your period, etc. You know?
Beauty is pain. When they say beauty is pain, it really is. Everything hurts. I'm like, my feet are constantly blistered and bruised. I have scabs constantly, but you do it to look nice. And then
quick question.
Yes.
What do you what are your plans, or what is your regime to, because a lot of girls who have been wearing heels for their whole lives, they develop the bunion feet.
Oh, I have bunions, yes.
Really?
I've
What
had them
do
since I was young, though.
Because you've been in the industry for quite a while. Is there anything that you can, like, a stretch or massage or
Not
what?
that I know of.
Really?
No, I wish. No, I just usually ice bath, put ice in. It's like what they use for sports.
Reduce inflammation?
So I do that a lot, but I mean, you get your scabs and all, but I prefer being in heels. It makes me more confident, like when I walk. But it's just a preference. I know a lot of people don't wear heels a lot anymore. I know my model girls do, but even outside, they don't usually.
Well, I think if you're going to be a proper model, you have to wear the heels,
Yes.
you know?
For me, the higher the heels, the higher to God. So
Yeah.
love my heels. I'm always, and besides, with him being so tall, I like trying to feel extra tall too. So it's.
Okay, well, this is actually a perfect segue. Like, what is the modeling industry nowadays compared to, let's say, 2 years ago with the COVID situations and everything? How do you guys organize yourselves?
I feel like El Paso is very different because we're not a huge modeling market like LA or anything. I wasn't modeling when COVID happened because I had barely rejoined after. But I think at least where I am at Bazaar, it's very different. It's not like what they have as the stereotypes. Like, they do more confidence building, if anything, than really working.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So they really make sure that you feel confident knowing what you're doing. And then once you feel confident, then they start placing you more. But they don't, like, critique what you're wearing, how you look, what color your hair is. They let you pick it as what you're most confident in. You may not get as many jobs, but you at least have the choice.
Okay, gotcha. Wow. So there is some flexibility with your professional look as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, personally, I get very bored with my hair. I'm constantly doing stuff. I just re-pierced my nose. For pageants, it's different because it's a beauty contest. So they want, like, the long hair. But, I mean, I've cut my hair short. I've dyed it multiple colors. Right now I have, like, the ends dyed.
The dual tone?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm, like, I have my under dyed, but they let me pick it. They don't say, no, you can't do that. It's, like, you may not get as many jobs, but you do what you're most confident in.
And it's very important to feel like you are yourself,
Yes.
especially behind the camera, you know, that way when the photographer shoots you, it actually it translates into the print, you know. What would you recommend women, you know, or young women in particular who are trying to get into the modeling industry, like, to develop that confidence, to ignore the body dysmorphias and the insecurities?
So I actually have a younger cousin who she's very confident in herself. She has, like, the very confident facade, but she has a lot of insecurities. And I've told her, I was like, you should try modeling. And I was like, it helps. It's like you think very negatively about yourself, but, like, when you're walking in a mirror and you're dressed nice and people are complimenting you, it helps a lot. Because for me, I was like, oh my God, I'm skinny. But then you're walking in a mirror and you're like, they point out your positives. They're like, oh my God, your legs are so long. And automatically I was like, oh my God, I have long legs. They're like, your waist is tiny. I was like, oh my God, I have a tiny waist. And it really does help with that. I mean, usually they don't think, oh, modeling's a roof cut industry. And I'm like, it might be, but at least in El Paso, it's not.
It can be a very loving environment.
It's a great environment. I love it. And, like, personally, it's like another family for me because when I go, I know almost everyone. Everyone's like, oh my God, hey. And everyone's so different. So it's like no one person is the same. Everyone has a different style. Everyone's very, like, has a different shape. They like their hair a different way. So you get to see all kinds of people and get to know the personalities behind the person, not just what you see in the pictures.
What kind of creative endeavors do you find yourself being able to achieve through modeling and your own personal business?
For me, it's helped a lot with networking. So I've just been able to meet a lot of people. A lot of my customers and clients are actually models who own their own businesses.
Okay. And what kind of businesses are these models into? You know?
One's in a clothing business. Sometimes I do their headshots. One girl I know does Botox.
Oh.
So a lot of it is the beauty industry, but you get to meet a lot of different people doing it. I know one of our models actually owns a fashion line, and I walked for his fashion line. So it's crazy seeing like the people behind the faces. Like
Right.
when you see editorials and all stuff, you're like, oh, they're so pretty, but you know nothing about the person.
Right.
So it's nice being able to see like them get posted or them be in magazines, and then I'm like, oh my God, I know the girl. And you can actually be like, it's a proud moment. You're like, wow, you worked hard, because you see the work that goes behind it, not just, oh, they got on it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I know the hours you put in it. I know how exhausting it is.
That sounds horrible. I am kind of glad that because what the fuck am I doing really? You know, like I'm just talking shit, you know? But I appreciate the fact that you guys keep coming over and expressing the hardships that it is to be you or whoever else.
Easy.
It's not.
It's not. I don't think, I'm sure even with the podcast, like there's a lot that goes into it, but people don't see it.
Oh, yeah.
So it gets annoying because a lot of people don't see the work that goes into it. It's just like, oh, you're there. I was like, but do you know how long it took me to get here? Like how the struggles mentally you go through and physically. It's like, I'm not comfortable. Do I look comfortable? No. I was like, but I do it because this is what's helping me.
Yeah.
And it's the way I want to network myself. So, but I know a lot of the girls that go through it, especially like pageant wise, you see a lot more that goes into it, and it's sad. It's like, it's exhausting. But when they win, you're like, oh my God, I know how hard you worked for it. You're genuinely proud for the person. It's not like that girl on girl where they're like, oh, great, good for you.
Well, you know what's cool about you? Like you're genuine, you know, like you really are, you don't have malice to you, you know, like, I think if I was a woman and I was in the modeling industry, I'd be a fucking snake. I'd be sabotaging girls.
I always try not to do that. I mean, since I've grown up very privileged, I always try to make it a point to not come off like I was very spoiled or stuck up or anything, because to me, I've seen it. I've seen girls who are, and no one likes that. And for me, it was very hard because I'm a person who likes to be liked. And like, I like making a connection with people. I like when they can rely on me and see me as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always tried to make sure I was like the most genuine person I can be. I mean, everyone has that little bit where they like to like, they're like, oh God, whatever.
You know, I cloak myself with the whole nonchalant attitude. I don't give a fuck. It's my way or the highway. But secretly, I'm like, I just want people to be my friend.
Exactly.
You know.
It's hard because especially with social media and all, you want to be liked. Everyone wants
Absolutely.
to be liked. Like I worry about, oh, am I going to get a lot of likes on this? And I think especially when I first started modeling, it was hard because I would post pictures like in bikini and stuff because I was genuinely confident in how I looked. But then it's like you get those like creepy stuff and all, and you're like, really? And even now, like I can post pictures of me on my Instagram and I'll get 400 likes, 400 to 600 likes. And then I post my business, I get 28 likes. So
yeah, that's horrible.
It's not easy because it's like no one cares about who you are sometimes. So for me, I always try to make sure like I come off genuine so people know I'm not just a face behind a screen.
Well, you are definitely not what I perceived you to be. You know, you are very educated, of course, and humble, surprisingly. You know, given that you do seem that you come from a privileged life, but at the same time, it's like that humility doesn't come from it comes from a good parents.
No,
you know?
I worked hard. Some stuff would hand to me, like they were very helpful with everything.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I wanted something like, oh, I want to go to the mall, my dad's like, well, you can go work in the office for it. So I worked in the back. I did all the manual labor in production. So it wasn't just, oh, I sat there and like had fun.
Yeah.
No, I was over there hand gluing 500 folders, spending hours on it. I work all the machines. Like I run all of it my own. So I've been working since I was 10. So I even like my first job, I got hired I got hired before I even turned 15 to work at the mall. So I didn't even interview. They just hired me on the spot because I was shopping there.
Really?
Yes. So I've loved working and I work for what I have. So I try to come off like I've never been spoiled. I am, but I'm spoiled in other ways than just being everything handed to me.
Well, there's a difference between having an allowance, because
Oh, I didn't even have an allowance.
Because let me tell you something. If I have X amount of money, which is more than the average person, right? So I'm a wealthy man. And at this point, my daughter's asking for this, that, and the other. Of course, I would want her to have the best of the best, but I'm not going to give it to her. I'm going to always
to instill them.
Exactly. Discipline, hard work, etc. Because I want to see young women to grow, you know, in a safe environment. Because here's my vision. It's going to be a safe environment because of the strong men, And it's going to be a very awesome environment after that because of the creative women, the strong women that don't need no man, the bad bitches, you know, as you say.
When women are allowed to grow, they can do great things. So
Absolutely.
It's always been like the way my parents raised me very much allowed me to do that. I mean, right now my dad's helped me out. So growing a business is not easy. And when I was interning, I wasn't making a lot of money. I would get paid every other week, and I would get paid $80. So it's not very easy to live off of. So my dad was like, you know what? I'll give you this much per month for food and to Uber because I didn't drive. And he was like, and I'll help you out, but you have to stay with it. He's like, if I see you slacking, I'm done. And he was like, you have to get dedicated to it. So when I ended up switching careers, he's like, you know what? I'll still help you out, but once January hits, and you're going to start making your own money. And I was like,
Yeah.
Deal. So it was always like, you know what? I'll help you, but this is what you have to do to it. You've got to stay dedicated and work your ass off.
Okay, so I'm very intrigued even about that machine. How the fuck did you get $1 million machine?
Trade shows. So they have trade shows everywhere. So we've worked some of the trade shows where we'll set up a booth and all. We had one of the top booths one year. We have these gold tchotchke bags that we were the first booth people would see when they would come in. So we had all of our stuff. And then we'll go to some, so they'll have something like Las Vegas or Florida, and you go, and it's just a bunch of people like showing what they do. So we saw one of the machines. My dad ended up falling in love with it. We got it. And yeah, it's crazy. It's very strange for me because have thought a lot about the past and like where the business has grown, because I've wanted to have a business that I can later bring my kids into, because I love the family business. I'm like, since my grandma started it and then my dad took over, I'm proud to be a third generation that I can continue this, possibly have a fourth generation. But I'm like, my dad worked out of our garage. He had a few machines, worked out of our garage, and I'd go bother him, and we danced, sing the music, and then he moved into a warehouse. And that was our first warehouse, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, because it's like slowly seeing how much it's grown, but no one sees the growth behind it. So seeing it, like, damn, you really worked out of our garage, and now we're here. And sometimes he doesn't realize it because he's just working nonstop. My dad's 50 already, but he works like he's 20. He goes in at 4 in the morning and he stays late.
Really?
Yeah, even when he had the flu a couple weeks ago, he worked all throughout the time he had the flu. He never takes a day off.
Man.
He works his ass off to be where he's at.
Well, that's what every man should be, like your father, you know, like a very disciplined man who, whether it rain, storm, fire, apocalypse, I don't give a fuck. I'm still waking up at set time, and I'm going to show up at set time. I'm going to open up shop myself because it's my business and I'm responsible, and I'm going to get shit done.
He's given high standards, for sure.
Fuck yeah.
I always say I've become very picky with guys just because my dad's given me high standards on how I should be treated and what I prefer. I'm like, I like being spoiled. Like, my dad's always spoiled me with his time, with his energy, and that's what I love. So, like, when it came to finding someone, I was like, I want to be spoiled with that exact same thing.
Well, I'm definitely taking a lot of notes in terms of your father's philosophy and his way of being, you know, because I definitely want to see my daughter. Not with
How old is your daughter?
My daughter is 7.
Oh, we have a lot of our friends actually ask my dad and I, they're like, how are you guys so close? I was like, it's a lot. I'm like, it's just making them feel comfortable, because I've never felt uncomfortable to go talk to my dad about anything. Yeah. Like, especially like when they have like the whole sex talk, like I've known that I can always talk to my dad about it. And it's not awkward, because I'm like, my dad's very much like, you know what's going to happen, just be careful and take care of yourself. So it's just a mutual respect, even though like when I was younger, like, you don't want to be treated as a kid. He always treated me like I was an equal. Yeah. Never that he was my dad and above me. It was, you know what, we're equals. Let's talk about things like we're equals.
Well, he's presenting concepts that aren't necessarily concepts that a normal parent would offer, you know, like the sex talk, the drug talk. Like, those are very superficial topics for parents, you know, but in reality, if you sit down, you don't have to be graphic about it. You just have to say, this is the road to make a life, to make babies, okay?
Yeah, just
simple as that. So it's not peanuts. It's not a workout. It's not necessarily a fun time. It's a spiritual union, and if you don't see it that way, don't fucking do it. Simple as that.
I think it's just always been nice because I have that relationship with my dad that a lot of people don't have. A lot of people don't feel comfortable talking to their parents. I'm comfortable with both my parents. I think they know a lot about our relationship because I feel comfortable talking to them about it. And even like when it comes to introducing people to them, it becomes a lot easier because I do care what my parents think, because it's like, they're my best friends. I go to them for everything. So when I was introducing him to my dad, it meant a lot to me because it's like, you know what? You're the guy I'm choosing to be in my life. And this is the guy who's raised me my entire life. This is what I'm comparing. And when it came to me wanting to be treated a certain way, he's always treated me as an equal. And that's what I've loved about it, because it's not, hey, I'm above you.
Yeah.
It's always been equal.
I've noticed that, like, women with a strong foundation, emotionally, mentally, like yourself, they have a good relationship with their fathers. The ones that don't have good relationship with their fathers, they're at those spots that I was talking about
I
earlier.
always tell guys, I'm like, you want to treat your daughter like a princess, because she will have higher standards.
Yes.
Like, I've had much higher standards because I'm so used to how my dad has raised me that it's like, this is what I expect. This is my ultimate thing I can get. That's exactly what I expect, and I won't settle for less.
Well, I'll be honest with you. There was a time where I was very, very, very disappointed in myself because I had chosen my career over my daughter. And my own ventures, my own success, my own glory, you know, and I was leaving behind my family and my daughter. And, you know, it's very nerve-wracking having those phone calls and having your daughter or your kid, for that matter, tell you, where are you? What's up? Like, when am I going to see you?
That's how mine was. My dad was a workaholic when I was younger, so he'd come home super late, go to work at 4 a.m. So it was like that. But getting older, you start to understand more that my dad did what he had to do to support us and give us the life we had.
That's necessary, though. Like, a man should go out, hunt and gather, and then come back and provide. The thing that I was doing is I totally just dipped. I was in Colorado because I'm from Denver, and that's where most of the things that could possibly make me money, they're just in limbo right now. But it's because by choice, you know. It's either I choose this or my daughter, you know. And the thing is, it's like there was another man lurking, another guy trying to be daddy, you know. And then I was like, wait a minute, like, she's gonna grow up thinking that I'm a piece of shit and that this guy did all the lead work, you know. I'm busting my ass. I'm still, like, in my mind thinking, okay, I'm still busting my ass off for you.
They don't realize it until they're older. I didn't realize it. I was just like, why isn't my dad home a lot? But my dad always made sure, like, he'd take us to trip, like, he'd take me on a trip to Vegas by myself so we could have that time. But it was a lot when I was younger because it was like, where is my dad? But he always made sure he was at events and all, but it was like, I'm home, where are you? But it's like, growing up, you start to realize, like, you know what? I have the life I have because my dad worked his ass off and he stayed late and went in early. Yeah. So I always tell people, I'm like, I know it's hard, and I'm like, but they start to realize it as they get older. And they start like, oh, because you become more understanding of things. Because then I'm like, now I'm working because I want to be able to work my ass off. So later on when I have a family, I can provide that for them.
Absolutely. For me, it was very, very important to have that connection with my daughter, and I don't think it again, the technologies, the FaceTimes, it doesn't translate. So I know for a fact nowadays, my daughter loves me to death. You know, like, that's one thing that I am 100% proud of, my relationship with her. And it's because I kind of do the same thing, you know. I sit her down and I don't talk to her like if it's a kid. If I'm looking at a kid, I'm like, you're a human being and these are human things that I'm telling you, you know. Like, one thing that I was talking about was how they're pushing this agenda on children for the whole, oh, you want to be a man? That's fine. I'll give you hormones. I'll give you hormone blockers. I'll give you testosterone. That's fine. You should be okay. It's like, you should express yourself. You should be whoever you want. I fucking think not. That's my fucking 7-year-old kid. You're not going to tell her that it's okay.
Think as a child, I think it's a bit extreme. I'm like, I don't feel like that's when kids can fully understand who they are.
Exactly.
I'm like, very at 18, I'm fully understanding who I am. I feel like that should wait till they start exploring more who they are. But I think it's good for parents to express to their kids that, you know what, whoever you are, I love you and accept you for the way they are. Because I have a lot of friends who they've come out as gay or trans, and their parents don't accept them. And that's a hard thing because, you know, for me, family is everything. So when you're not accepted, that's very mentally...
Yeah, I could only imagine being ostracized for...
the way you are.
Yeah, but here's where I drew the line for her. I'm like, okay, if you are gay, lesbian, or trans, which is the trans that I'm focusing on mostly, because... how fucked up is it that I am the parent and I tell my kid, let's say 13, not even 7 years, you're 13, your friends are talking about this, that, and the other, and the conversation, oh, I think I'm a man in a woman's body. I think I'm a woman in a man's body. And if I had a son and he says, I want to chop it off. Yeah. I'm like, look, kid, You're 13 years old. You have no idea. I wanted a tattoo when I was 14. I got it, and guess what? It's not my favorite tattoo.
Yeah.
You know, if I would have waited until I was at least 18, I would have gotten better arts, something with meaning, you know? So it's like, just wait, you know? But if you want to push the envelope, which a lot of situations do arise where the kid's like, oh, well, at school they told me that I could be whoever I wanted, so I'm going to call the cops and tell them that you're abusing me. You know what happens then? The cops come, they take the kid, send them they put them in the system, and they basically put you in jail for abusing your child, and then they give them the hormone blockers, they give them the testosterone, you know?
It's a weird thing now, this generation. It's like, I know my parents are like, this was not how ours was. And I'm like, I feel this generation is more open and more accepting of things. But, you know, since I don't have kids, I can't say like, oh, I can, because it's a weird spot, I think, when your kid does say, hey, because you're like, I want what's best for you, but at the same time, I don't think you're old enough to make that choice yet because you don't fully understand who you are. Like, I don't feel like a lot of people fully understand they are till way down the line, not at 13.
No, and I'm like, okay, well, if you call the cops and all that stuff, then at this point, I'm gonna tell you this: I am your freaking dad.
You're like, I only want what's best for you. I'm not doing it because I don't want you. It's
exactly. It's like
you have your best interest in mind.
If you want to be whoever you want to be after 18, then I have no domain over you. But in between now and then, I am a dictator.
Yes.
I am not taking suggestions. I am not asking you if this is okay. It's my way, and you're gonna follow my rules. You know, you're gonna respect me.
Yes.
You know, and that's the case. You know, like adults can do whatever the fuck they want. If they want to chop off their genitalia, fine, so be it. You know,
I just need to make sure you're alive. And
I have zero.
Well, until 18.
I have zero issues with Caitlyn Jenner. I think she's cool.
Yeah.
She's awesome. You know, I wouldn't consider her the woman of the year, or her first fucking year, but she's awesome, definitely. But
it's like, even till then, she didn't know fully who she was and make that choice. So I think it's extreme now when like 7-year-olds and 13-year-olds are trying to make those decisions.
Well, I'll be honest with you. You are 18, and you will be a totally different person when you're 25. You know, and that's the beautiful part about being a human. You know, that we're constantly evolving. I think people who are anxious, angry, and just bitter, you know, it's because they become calloused, because they've encased themselves with who they are today. I am so prideful, I don't need to change. They stop evolving, they stop learning, you know. They start, you know, getting shriveled up.
I think
turning
growth
old.
is a big thing, for sure.
You think so?
Definitely.
And why do you think so?
Because, I mean, I'm not the same person I was when I was 10. I hope I'm not the same person I'm going to be when I'm 30.
Right.
I feel like growth is constantly needed to evolve as a person because you don't want to be stuck. I mean, for me, it was hard because I was originally supposed to graduate early, and then something happened and they told me I wasn't. And I felt very stuck because I was like, I don't feel like I'm learning anything. I don't feel like I'm growing as a person. So I did everything I could to graduate early so I could move forward. And I feel like if you're not moving forward, what are you doing in your life? Like, there's no meaning to life if you're just stuck.
I think if you go any direction, it's fine. Even if you're going backwards, you know, because at least there's an exchange of energies, you know. I think I'm at my saddest, not when I'm going through struggles, not when I'm making mistakes, but I am just so distraught when I'm not doing anything.
Exactly. Me too.
Isn't that weird?
I feel like I constantly have to be doing something because when I'm stuck, I get very depressed because I'm like, what am I doing with my life? For me, it's like, life is so short. Like, make the most of it. Make something interesting out of it. So, like, for future generations, you can say, hey, I had an interesting life. Do the most you can with yours. Don't just be stuck and be like, oh, I don't want to do anything. Like, no, do something productive.
You're very wise. That's very interesting to me. You know, I find myself speaking. I don't want to sound like I'm demonizing women. I love women, and women are awesome, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a woman. But there's a certain shallowness to the way the general public thinks, and in particular women. You know, like they are thinking very superficially, and I am very intrigued by the fact that you can be more than just a model. You can be more than just a businesswoman. You can have a brain. You can have a character.
It's like, it's not just cool to be pretty anymore. It's cool to, like, have a business. I'm like, he said one of the reasons he was attracted to me is because of my mindset, like how I want to grow, how I have a lot of passion. And for me, that's always been a big thing because I'm like, I don't, even with my friends, I don't want to be friends with someone who doesn't care about life and doesn't want to do anything. Because I'm like, I get very upset with people like that because I'm like, you give us a bad rep.
Mm-hmm.
You show that we're just, oh, we're pretty, we're stupid, we don't know anything. I'm like, no, show that it's cool to be smart. That's also cool to be pretty and be put together.
Well, how do you spread this message? I mean, we're already putting it out into the ether, but how do I help women get on that wavelength? You know?
I think it's one way a way you're raised. For me, I believe it was a way I was raised that has given me this mindset because my dad's always been like, I have a lot of strong females in my life.
Yeah.
And like I've always been surrounded by strong female figures, so that's what I've become accustomed to. When you're not in that, you think, oh, this is what's normal and all. I'm like, my mom, she's 40-something, she's going to nursing school. She's straight A's.
Are you serious? She's smart.
My mom is so smart. So it's like, even though she got divorced and all, she didn't have a plan. She didn't know what she was going to do for work. She didn't have to go to college, but she decided to go to college for nursing of all things, which is exhausting. I'm like, I see how much she studies. She has binders full of paper. She works her ass off. I'm like, my aunts are like some of the highest people in El Paso. They're so intelligent. I'm like, so I've been surrounded by smart women. So it's very easy to be like, you know what, this is what I'm used to. This is what I want to be like because I want to be a role model. I don't just want to be another girl who's like there. Yeah. I'm like, I have younger cousins who I want them to look up to me and be like, she's doing more than just being pretty.
Well, listen, here's the thing. With beauty and everything that we're talking about, it's a oversaturated pool, you know? So there's definitely a lot of women who are getting all the attention, all the money, but they have no substance to them. And it's like, what are they doing? Like you say, you know, like the bikini pictures.
It's upsetting.
Yeah, and they're getting the sponsorships and everything. But how peculiar will it be when the tide shifts a little bit? Just a little bit, not a lot. I don't care, you know? But just a little bit, where we see women like yourself coming out, and they're not necessarily taking pictures of their butts or anything like that, or creating content that's basically thirst traps. You guys are elevating the culture for the females. You guys are inspiring. And, you know, when I dissect what you're talking about, one thing that first came to mind is like, okay, get rid of the weakest link. You know, if there's somebody in your group that is not necessarily operating on the same level, you're not gonna lift them up, really. You know, you could try, but if they're not willing, you have to like cut them off, because the thing is, they're gonna infect.
That was my problem for a while. I was friends with a lot of people who didn't want to do anything, and I was slowly changing into that. It was.
But you thought you were helping them, right?
Surround yourself with. Yes, and I'm very much like, I am constantly wanting to help people, which is not always a good thing, because it emotionally takes a toll on you. It mentally is like exhausting.
Do you know what an empath is?
Yes, I believe I'm an empath.
Okay.
I've had people come up to me, like I had one lady in Barnes & Noble randomly come up to me, and she was like, I know you're an empath. And I was like, oh gosh. But I am very like, when someone hurts, I feel it, and it hurts me personally. So when I would surround myself with that energy, it was mentally draining. I stopped doing good in school. I was not physically and mentally doing well. I was like giving up on everything I loved. So I started meeting new friends, I met some new people, and slowly it was like, you know what, they have goals. I want to be at that level. I don't want to just sit around and be that person who's like, nah.
My suggestion to that is like, you be the weakest link in your group. If you're not the weakest link in your group, if you think, oh, this is awesome, I'm like top dog, I'm like the best of the best, like look at all these guys, they're my subordinates essentially, I'm here, and it's like, okay guy, like you're looking at it the wrong way. You're fine thinking you're superior to these 5 scumbags, but in reality you're nothing. You're nothing to the world, and the reason you hang around these people is because they give you validation. But if you go with the sharks and you try to swim with them, you're gonna drown.
Especially because having a cocky mindset, it does not make you cool. No one wants to be around that. It's like,
no.
Understand that people are always trying to do better than you, so you have to keep competing. It's not like, hey, I feel like I'm better than them, I've done my job. It's like, no, keep pushing yourself, keep finding someone you want to push yourself against, because I'm competitive. So it was always find the person who's better than you and try to beat them, and then find the next person who's better and try to beat them. Even when you're number one, keep working hard to where you keep beating other people, so you can always grow instead of
Yeah, get
Oh,
stuck
I
in
feel
this
like I'm great.
echo chambers, you know.
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting. I think having a competitive mindset helps with that.
Quick question: do you read or not
Occasionally,
really?
I don't read as much now because of my work and all,
Mhm.
but even when I do, it's more business books, but I try to read something.
Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha. So you're not into the romantic novels
Oh
or anything
God,
like that.
I think they're cheesy. I
Really?
mean, when I was younger, I used to be super into them, but it's like growing up, you realize like this is not at all how
The
relationships
Twilights. Did you read
Oh
the
my
Twilights?
God, I think I read a few of them, but I always like watched them. But it's like I think growing up, they become like less and less amusing. Like that is not how relationships are like at all. It's like they don't go through any of the hard times. They only show like oh the best times and all.
Yeah.
It's like no, there are difficult times and you work through it, but nothing shows you that.
There's this one movie called Love is a Bitch. Amores Perros. Do you speak Spanish?
No.
You don't speak Spanish?
No, I don't.
What's your last name?
Espinoza.
Okay, well-
My dad is white.
And your mother's Mexican?
My mom's Mexican Puerto Rican.
Wait, hold on. Your dad's white and he has Espinosa?
My
Is
dad's
that-
adopted.
Oh, what the fuck, man. Oh.
So my
Okay,
dad's
well-
bio-dad left, so my grandpa ended up adopting him, which is how we got Espinoza. But my dad's French, Irish, Scottish.
What the fuck?
So
Okay, well, I'll give him a pass because I was about to say, hey, that's the one thing where it's a total foul. I'm missing out on that
I
too.
wish I knew Spanish. Oh,
My daughter
gosh.
was rejecting it. I'm like, you need to learn. Like, it's not necessarily.
It's so good to learn. I wish I knew it. I hate now that I don't.
Well, it's not like I'm gonna be beaner talking you the whole time, but it's like I want you to know that having one language over somebody else is the power. It's a weapon.
Oh gosh, I wish I knew it because it's like even when it comes to customer service, I can't communicate with people like I wish I could
Because of the Latino, you're
I live
surrounded.
in El Paso. I
Yeah.
should know Spanish. I'm like I speak Spanglish. I know some little phrases and all. I can sing in Spanish, but I cannot speak it for the life of me.
Really? So you're like Selena, you know?
That is what I love to say. Yes, I can sing perfectly in Spanish. Everyone thinks it's weird because I can perfectly pronounce words, but I can't speak it naturally.
Yeah, when they told me Selena doesn't speak English, I'm like, what?
You're
How does
like-
that make sense?
Yeah, it's strange. I don't know why.
Or like the One Direction guys, they're British, but when they sing, they don't have the British accent, you know?
It's crazy. I'm like, I don't know why I can't speak Spanish. It just never has come naturally. I took Spanish from pre-K up till my sophomore year. Still never learned it.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well, that's a foul on your part
It is.
at this
Oh,
point.
I hate it.
But I mean, you're still young. There's still time to learn
Oh, yeah.
Japanese, French. You know, I definitely want to learn Chinese because I think the Chinese are gonna be dominating the market in terms of the economic spectrum. So you definitely want to know how to talk to
Spanish, England, and Mandarin are probably going to be the top ones.
Oh,
Because-
Mandarin, that's the
Mandarin,
one.
yeah.
Mandarin.
There's so many like different Spanish-speaking cultures that I think those are like the top 3 to know. Some of my cousins, the school they go to, they teach Mandarin and Spanish, and so they teach all
Really?
3.
Okay.
So they're trilingual, and I'm like, that is the coolest thing. I wish I had that when I was younger.
Well, I wish somebody would have told me that what I'm telling my daughter, which is like, okay, now because I grew up with Spanish, and then I it's a funny story because I was into this one chick in first grade, and I thought she spoke nothing but English.
Yeah.
So I forced myself to learn so I could talk to her, right? Fast forward like 10 years later, we cross paths, and she's speaking to me in Spanish. I'm like, wait a
know
minute, you spoke
Spanish?
Spanish the whole fucking time? She's like, yeah. I'm like, dude.
You're like, really? Great.
No, but like right now, I would like to learn another language. I would like to learn an instrument, you know? But it's like, why do we feel this? Why do we want to be more, you know? And it goes back to what you're saying, you know? It's like staying in this one spot is a big party foul. You know, God's going to shame you, and God is going to be very upset because you didn't follow his path. You didn't allow him to... or you didn't allow yourself to become who you were meant to be, you know?
I feel like a lot of people hold themselves back now. It's like if you have the opportunities to do something, then do it. It's like if you have the time to do it, don't just like I know like my brother, he plays a lot of video games. I'm like, oh, do something productive.
Yeah.
I'm like always showing him. I was like, you could be learning this and you could be doing this, but no. But even like a sport, I'm like I've changed sports constantly.
What sports would you...
So I played basketball and soccer. I played volleyball for 5 years, and then I played tennis varsity for 3.
Tennis?
Yes,
Oh, that's bad on the knees, right?
well, I hurt my knee playing volleyball, so I didn't make tryouts.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, screw it, we'll try tennis. And then ended up going varsity after a month of playing. Then I was on
Oh
varsity
shit!
for
So
3 years.
that was actually kind of like your hidden gift.
It was. I love it. But it was just being able to learn that. It's like now I feel like it's super cool. I'm like, a lot of people don't try for things anymore. So it's like, it's an extra power you have. Like, it's something you could hold. Like, you know what? I learned this. Because people aren't trying to learn things anymore. It's like you coast through life and then you're done.
You know what I just forgot? We have tea.
No, that's right.
Arnold, would you like a cup of tea?
Yeah. Is it ready or what?
Yeah, it should be ready. There's one there for you, and then there's 2 there already set up.
It's like 3 over here.
Yeah, so there's 3?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cups?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 cups.
Well, they're all clean. Pick your poison.
Is it ready already?
It should be ready. I just forgot to put the lid, I think. So it might be cold.
You look so nice.
I know, bro. I'm like, how do you fit stuff in your pockets? Because
Oh my
he
gosh,
starts
he
pulling
puts
out stuff like.
everything.
You want to see everything? You want me to empty out my pockets?
He even has, like, I give him my stuff. I'm like, can you hold my phone for me? Can you hold this?
He has a freaking sword somewhere. I know.
Yeah,
it.
oh my gosh. When did you bring that out? You brought that out on our first date, huh? And I was like, you just have that in your pocket?
This is like cut something, some thread, no?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. I was like, oh, I have a loose thread. And he goes and whips it out. And I was like, what is that? And he was like, oh, it's my knife. I was like, that is not a knife.
It's the open letters.
It's to open letters. Aye.
Well, that's what I told him. Like, isn't that borderline like illegal? Like, what if the cops stop you? You know, what if
That's so good.
they start asking you like, wait, what's going on with this?
Yeah.
It's to open letters. I'm like,
Open
oh.
letters. You just carrying a letter opener with you?
I would believe that.
What? Open letters?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like that. It's
Yeah, if it was me pulling out the knife and it's like, it's to open letters. Like, what fucking letters? Prison letters? You know? He's like, quick, get in the car. But if it was you, I was like,
Okay, yeah, that makes
that sounds
sense.
legit, you know? I mean, I'm sure he stabbed somebody with it at some point, but like, I'm sure
No one
he
needs to know.
I'm sure he opens letters with it as well.
Yeah.
You look very nice.
Huh?
You look very
You look very nice. Both of y'all look very nice.
I,
It's just polo.
bro,
It's a nice color.
I fucking knew you guys were gonna come bringing your A game. Yours isn't even A game. It's just the game, you know. But it's like, I'm not gonna fucking wear a t-shirt today.
Let's see you with creased up sleeves.
Yeah, bro, fucking Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren is the shit. And I think, okay, yeah, they have the Gucci's, the Louis Vuittons,
Oh,
of
that's so
course.
expensive.
And believe me, if I had the money, I'd be wearing it right now. But there's something subtle and classy about Ralph Lauren, right? I don't know. I like it.
You like Hilfiger or Polo more? You like Hilfiger or Polo more?
Good question. Let me think about that one. Because I used to wear a lot of Tommy. But I think I'm going to go with Polo. Yeah. Because I think I would resonate with Tommy because of my youth, you know? But now I feel like I'm maturing a little bit more, you know?
You're like, I'm becoming a polo kind of guy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be that guy now. But they both have a lot of merit, you know?
Yeah. I like Hilfiger just because of the symbol. Like the minimalist little symbol.
It's classy, huh? It's very, very elegant.
Even though it's just, 2 squares? A white and a red square.
And that's what I'm saying, you know, like with your businesses and with our creative minds, you know, like we can make something so nuanced and make it into something iconic, you know?
Yes.
And it's like,
Even our logo, we like redesigned because I was like, I need the perfect logo.
well, your logo is very, very green. It's
is.
eye-catching.
So when it came to I Print Life, I was like, life, like very natural. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted something very green. So we had a old design because originally my dad wanted to start I Print Life like 5 years ago. So we had the same logo, but it was different colors and all. And I was like, I want it to look like a tree. So we spent a while finding the perfect green, the perfect bronze. And then I was like, I want to throw gold in it. So it seemed very modern and like a calm.
And
kind of vibe.
elegant.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted something very classy.
Yeah, that's kind of like that's why I'm like so excited about you guys, you know, because you guys have done a number on me, like him especially. I mean, you have a man who is who I recalled it, you know. When the first podcast we had, I told him like, bro, you're gonna be iconic in the fashion industry.
Yes.
You really are gonna be, and he was like, oh, do you think so? But like, I think he believes it now. I think like last time he was on.
Very attractive.
Oh my God, it's like who the fuck does that? You
Yeah,
know?
when I had seen his pictures for a second, I was like, oh my gosh, he dresses like that. And I was like going through and I was like, he's dressed like this in all of his photos. And I was like, who dresses like that?
All the time.
And I was like, oh my God. It's so bad.
Look at you gushing.
No, because it's so embarrassing now. So he was my Instagram crush. And
Okay, quick question. You have an Instagram crush. What is, because you're calling me the hitman, and you know, she's a sniper. What was the process? Did you just say, hey, hello, how are you?
No, I didn't talk to him. So he's still, oh God. So originally, this one guy I had known who I had modeled with, he posted a picture with him tagged in it. I had seen him and I was like, oh my God. I was like, he is so attractive. So I just followed him thinking nothing was going to happen because I was like, there's no way he's going to text me or follow me back. And he followed me back. I was like, oh my God. And then I think it was like a few days later I had posted something. So the Bob's Burger movie had come out. And I like took a picture and I was like, I'm so happy with life right now, meaning I was happy about the Bob's Burger movie. But he was like, oh, it's nice to see someone happy in life. Something like that. And I was like, oh my God. But what was funny is I had been showing my mom and my grandmother pictures of him all week.
You manifested it.
I guess so. I was dying because so when I was younger, I always wanted a guy who had the mustache and all. So like when I
This is getting weird. Are you like a witch or something?
Oh gosh, I don't know what he was. I was like, but I was like so excited. I was like, oh my God, he texted me. My brother and my mom were there, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, what do I say? And my brother's like, well, just be calm, be cool. And I was like, I'm really bad at being cool because usually like when guys start with me, I'm like, I think in my head like I'm the shit. Like I don't really worry. I never really had to like go for someone, like try to hunt for someone.
Oh,
so
shit.
he was like telling me, and I was like, so how was your day? Oh God, it's so embarrassing. And then we just started talking, and then I was like, how do I get him to hang out with me? I was like, because I didn't think he was like into me or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like already like, oh my God, this man, I'm the biggest crush just because of the way he talked too. He was very respectful, always seemed like very put together, even the way he spoke. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, how do I get him to talk to me? So this is like a month before my pageant season, and I was like, he goes to the gym a lot. I hate going to the gym. Hadn't gone to the gym in forever, and I was like, but maybe I can get him to be like my trainer. So I was like, hey, do you want to come to the gym with me? I have my pageant.
Help.
Yeah, exactly. And I embarrassed myself the first time we ever spoke in person. I was like,
On purpose,
wow.
or
No, not
you
on
were
purpose.
just so nervous?
Because usually I'm not nervous around guys because I'm just like, you know what, I'm dressed
Well,
good,
because you know that like they're the ones knocking on the door. They're the ones that are interested. They're the ones that have to like
try.
yeah. And a lot of times you might be like, I'm a little bit iffy about you, but let's see what you got.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And in this case, it's like, let's see what I can bring to the table.
I'm
Let's
like,
see.
okay, it's like a competition now because I'm like, wait, I don't want anyone else to get him. I call dibs. And I was like, how do I like make sure I have that dibs? So the first time I saw him, I was like, wow, you actually are really tall. And he was like, mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die right now.
Let me go change my heels to something
Well,
higher.
I was in flats, and I was like, because he was like, yeah, I'm 6'3", and in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm like 6 foot in heels. I didn't really comprehend.
Conceptualize.
Yeah, and then I'm in flats, and I was like, oh shit, you really are tall. And he's like, yep. And
It's
I was
weird
like,
because we're
oh
having the
my
same
God.
reaction, you know. It's like, hey, Instagram crush, check. You know,
Yes.
when you look at him, it's like fucking 6 feet plus tall. You're like, oh, what the fuck?
It was, oh my God, it was so embarrassing because I was like mortified that I even said that. Because in my head, I thought I was just saying it to myself, not out loud. He was like, mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God. But he's very like, he's not easy to read. I feel like I'm very easy to read because I'm very expression. Like, I have a lot of expressions. You can always tell what I'm thinking based off my face. Not him. So the entire day, day in my head, I was like, I'm going to try to get him to date me.
Yeah.
So the entire gym time, I'm like shitting myself. Like, I'm like, oh God, I'm like, is he enjoying himself? He was giving me crap about how many carbs were in my drink because he's super healthy. And I was like, I don't even know if he's interested in me. And I was like, oh God. I was like, shit. So then I think it was like a few weeks after or a month later, I invited him to go to a baseball game with me as a date because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to make the move. I was like, oh, God, I was like shaming myself. I was like, I wonder if he'll say yes. And then he's like, yeah, for sure. And I was like, oh, yes. So our first date was really cute. I got him to eat nachos. I was super proud of myself. And then we got Dippin' Dots. And I was like stressing the entire time because I was like, oh my God. Like, I just got a date with the guy I'm super into.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do now? It was so embarrassing.
He told me that you guys really went the slow burn route, though.
Yes.
He told me we've been going at it for 6 months, but we barely made it official a few weeks back. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wait,
December 3rd.
yeah, it's like it just happened last week, basically. So it's like,
So originally I told him I wanted to wait till I got my realtor's license, and then
Okay.
I switched careers. So it's like, shit, no more realtor's license.
is it because you wanted to focus on your career?
I did.
And
So originally I wanted to stay single so I could focus on myself and my career, just because I was like graduated and all, and I wanted to make sure I was in a good place to be in a relationship and all. And I really hated dating. I never liked dating, so I was like, oh God, I was like, I'm not even gonna like try for anyone right now. But then I was like, the way he spoke and all, I was like, do I focus on myself and skip out on a guy who's like amazing, or do I just go for it and say, you know what, isn't ideal timing because I wanted to work on myself, and I was like, but I can grow with him instead of just by myself. So I was like, we'll just see what happens and all. Oh gosh, yeah, now we're here.
Well,
Didn't see it coming at all.
Well, look at the chain of events, the domino effect that it happened. Like one thing led to another. Now we're here all fucking recording a podcast.
It's crazy. I'm like, he made me cry on our first date too.
No way. What do you do?
Oh my God.
He sang you a song, didn't he?
No, he's laughing too because every time we tell this story, I'm always embarrassed by it. No, so on our first date, we were talking and all, and he was just very sweet about the whole date. Like, I was like worried because it's like, guys usually want you to put out. Nope, he never implied anything like that. It was very sweet. It started raining and all, and he was like trying to keep me warm and all, and I was like, because I didn't even know what to say. I was like, he's not easy to read, so I was like, I was like, do I hold his hand? Do I like go for it? Do I wait for him? And I was like, so what have you been up to and all? I was so awkward, and I was like, oh my God, he's never gonna go out on a second date with me. So then after we went to the parking lot, we were like tucking by his car and just like talking and all, and he was like complimenting me, and he was like, oh, you're worth it. And I broke down crying, and I was like, oh my God. And he pulls out a handkerchief. And I'm just like sitting there like, what the hell just happened? I'm like, I'm crying on a first date, and he just pulls out a handkerchief and gives it to me, and I'm like, I'm like, okay, thank you. And I'm like, oh, I was like dying of embarrassment.
Can I stop you right there? What the fuck are we doing, man? Like, why are we fucking just doing everything that Arnold does? Like, why don't you write a book? Why don't you fucking write a book so fucking motherfuckers can read it and get their game up, man? Dress nice. But don't just dress nice. Be a man. But don't just be a man. Be a good man. And then if your woman is crying, you better have a handkerchief on hand, motherfucker.
And I was so worried. I was
Shit.
like, I'm going to be so embarrassed. He's never going to go out with me after this. And he made it seem so normal and so okay that I was like, what is going on? Like, you would think, like, if you cry on a first date, oh my God, I was already mortified. But the fact that he just pulls out a handkerchief like nothing, he's like, don't cry. And I'm like, what just happened? I was like, he just pulled out a handkerchief like nothing.
Well, he's a prepared man, and he is a high value man. And this is kind of what I'm preaching now, because everybody wants the end result. Everyone wants to see the season finale, so to speak, without going through the pilots and everything else. Men want to have sex on the first date. Men want to have the woman.
I say boys want that. Men are different.
Okay, well,
boys want to have sex on the first date. Men actually take the time.
Boys want the Ferrari now. Boys want the mansion now, but they don't understand that you have to be a high value man to get all these things, and you don't necessarily have to work for those things. Like, I don't have to be going to the gym thinking, oh yeah, these muscles are gonna get me the girl, because if that's my mentality, it's like, yeah, you're not gonna get anything. You're just gonna be wasting.
That's what attracted me to him. It was the way he looked. He was just put together. I was like, he was attractive, but it's like the way you dress and the way you put yourself together was extremely attractive. And then it was the way he talked.
Absolutely. Like, and so, like, that's what brings you to the dance. All of those things. But what keeps you there, what keeps the music rolling, is essentially that, like, being put together, being respectful, having morals, having a structure in your life, having goals, having ambitions, having a network of brothers. Because if he goes to war, I'm gonna be right behind him,
Yes,
and
he
all
has
of my
his collection. It's like it
Yeah.
was nice seeing how tight he was with his friends and how close, because that says a lot about a person. It's like when you
Absolutely.
have close friendships like that, you know that he must be a good freaking person if he's got these people behind him ready to back him up at any time.
Exactly. So when you see such a strong frame, and people responding to him in that fashion, it's because he's not a snake. He's not running through life, leaving wreckage and betraying people. He's emboldening young men like myself. He's teaching us about class and being a gentleman, really, you know?
It is. There's not many gentlemen anymore. So it's like saying, it was nice seeing that. Like I never have to open a door for myself. He always makes sure the car door is open for me. And like he has a sidewalk roll down. I didn't even know about the sidewalk roll. So he's like, no, you have to be on this side. I was like, well, why? And he's like, so if anything happens, and I'm like, oh God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's like,
that's
it's the little
fucking
things
weird.
like
That women don't fucking know that now.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I was like, it was crazy. I was like, oh my God. I was like, but it's nice. I like being treated like a princess. Like, always opens the door for me, always helps me get ready. So it's nice. So yeah.
And would you guys say that you have well, obviously, right? Because you guys forge a friendship before actually getting
Oh
into
gosh,
the
he's like a
relationship.
friend now. Like I talk to him like he's one of the girls. I'll be like, babe, you won't believe what happened. Let me tell you the cheese man. I'll like run over to his door in like my pajamas. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, what happened? I was like, you won't believe it. So it's like, it's nice because I can talk to him like a friend, but then I still have him as my boyfriend.
Yeah, there's trust there. You know,
There
there
is.
needs to be trust in a relationship, and it's like it's very beautiful to see this exchange. You know, because I thought this was dead. I thought this was already over.
Oh, I thought so too. So I was like, yes, I got lucky. I always tell girls, I'm like, oh no, I got lucky. I was like, there's not a lot of them. I was
Yeah.
like, so once you have one, you hold on tight to it.
And I'm not gonna pretend that I'm one of them because, like, believe me, I am not. Okay, I am a spawn of Satan, and so.
That's what he says, but.
Well, don't get me wrong. He has his dark side, you know. But a strong man needs to be that animal when necessary, you know, like a sword. You know, if you're a great swordsman, you're not gonna be pulling it out and stabbing
Yeah.
people all the time. It's only when necessary, you know.
Like, I know I'm easily protected. Like, my dad's like, are you safe from them? I was like, oh, yeah, I am set. I'm like, I never have to worry about anything. Like, I know if at the slightest thing, he'll be ready to. I'm like, I'm good.
my group of my brothers, you know, my brothers are arms. They're few, you know, because like you said, like people that you can rely on, people that you could trust, men who are strong enough to go to war with you. They're dying out.
They are.
He's one of them, and I'm gonna tell you, you know, I respect him to the utmost level, and you really won the lottery with
I
him.
did.
Yeah.
I always, I'm like, I'm proud of myself. I was like, nice, we did it, guys. I was like, he went from an Instagram crush to this now. So I always think it's crazy because I was like, I never thought this was going to happen.
But-
I just thought it was like, oh, pretty guy I can follow on Instagram.
But you get what you are, you know, like when I was at my lowest and I was you know, dating and stuff, I was getting a good level of a woman, you know. And so I was like, okay, is this my taste? Am I just bad? And it's like, no, it's because I'm operating in this frequency, and that's what's coming to me. I see this man operating on a higher octane than most men, you know? And then here you come, you know?
Yeah.
It's like if men work on themselves, if men constantly are put in the fire, becoming the best versions that they can possibly be, they don't need to be texting all these girls on Instagram, seeing which one will give me a time of their day. Just be you. Just do you. And guess what?
Yeah, we go too.
Somebody's going to text you.
Yeah,
you know?
it was nice. Just like, I was telling him, I was like, I don't think if you ever responded to that, like my Instagram story, we'd be here now. I was like, because I didn't have the balls to go and text
Yeah.
him. I was like, I'm not just going to text him randomly. But yeah, it's crazy now.
No, that's awesome. That's beautiful. But now I do want to go back down memory lane. How was it being a student of a Catholic school? All girls?
all-girl
That sounds
private
that
Catholic
sounds
school.
like a recipe for disaster.
So I was there from pre-K to 7th grade. So I had been there for, oh God, I don't even know how many years, for a while. It was definitely nice because so elementary there, it's co-ed, and then once you get to middle school, the boys leave to a different school, girls stay. So it was definitely different because since I had been there since pre-K, I saw everyone come in. So they kind of had me as a welcoming committee for a while. So like whenever there was a new student, they'd partner me with them because I would show them around and all.
Basically, here's the gymnasium, here's the lunchroom. Okay.
Everyone, I'm like, just because I was always super friendly and like very accepting and I didn't ever want anyone to feel uncomfortable. So I was always like, we're going to be best friends.
But yeah, that attitude, I will have to say this. That attitude is a little bit concerning to me because of your empath tendencies, you know?
So I'm getting older. I've gotten better about it. But when I was younger, I was always
stretching yourself too thin, right?
Sometimes, I mean, I was just always wanting to make sure people felt comfortable and they knew they had someone. So, like, even my mom would, like, joke with him now. She's like, yeah, no, she was always, like, even when, like, when people cried, we always were like, are you okay? What's wrong?
Yeah.
So, they just, all the teachers knew to partner me with the new kids because I was like, we're going to be friends. I've got you whenever. And, I mean, friendships come and go. And I was like, but I always made sure, like, I was there. But then middle school was stressful just because that's when it was all girls and you start having, like, your little cliques because like everyone starts trying to blend into a group that they can resonate with. So for me that was always very hard because I didn't really have a group I resonated with. Like I wanted to be part of the popular kids, but I wasn't popular enough for that. I was very weird. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm a part of a different group. So I ended up having my own group, which didn't really want it to be a group. It just ended up happening and we call it like the rejects because like when you were part of a clique, if you weren't friends with them anymore, they'd come to our table. So we ended up having a table of like 20-something people.
Yeah, and there's just a plethora of different...
Everyone was super different. Like, they come from everywhere. So we had like our Spanish speakers, like the girls we would call the popular girls and all. We were just a table of weirdos. We would have lunch together. Everyone was super weird. Like, yeah, it just happened. It wasn't ever meant to be a group. It was just, you know what, if you have nowhere else to sit, just come sit with us. So I'd even talk to the girls, like, when they would sit by themselves, they'd be like, hey, do you want to come sit with us? Like, you shouldn't be sitting by yourself. And it was always because I never wanted to feel like that because I had at some point, and it was very tiring. I was like, I never wanted to be that person. So I was like, you know what, let me at least help them. So I was like, here, come sit with us. Don't sit by yourself. So like picking up their foot, I was like, you're going to come sit with us today. I was like, you're not sitting by yourself. So, yeah, we ended up having a table of, like, 20-something girls, all just ton of weirdos. I don't even know what happened with that.
Well, I think that you look at the popular kids, they're all weirdos, too. But the thing is that they accepted the fact that if they're going to be operating with the popular ones, you know, if they're going to be accepted, rather, you're going to have to morph yourself. You're going to have to put on a mask. You're going to have to, like, keep all the skeletons under the rug, you know, and it's like, I'm sure they got rejected, those people you're talking about, because they started to reveal themselves and being genuine.
Sometimes,
and they got chastised.
And you know, I tried being part of the popular group at one point because I wanted to be cool. You know, it was always like in middle school you try to be cool, and I was like, but I always felt so out of place. So I ended up sitting by myself, and then my friends joined, and slowly it became something bigger than that. But everyone was just weird, and I loved it. I like being in my group of weirdos because everyone's so different, and I like having that difference. So it's like getting to know who people are. So it's like a lot of the girls were into anime, and that wasn't very like a big thing when I was in middle school. It wasn't a cool thing. So it's like they would sit with us, and then like we decorate each other's lockers for their birthdays, like with all their favorite anime stuff. And it was just because, you know what, maybe not everyone likes it, but you know what, we'll accept you for who you are, and I may not like it. I wasn't super into anime, but I was like, you know what, you're my friend, love you, so I'll do it for you.
Isn't that weird though? Like things that were like kind of like dorky and you would get made fun of. Now it's like pop culture.
Now everyone thinks it's cool. I'm like, what happened? Why wasn't it cool when I liked it?
I got the lashings, I got the name callings, and now
like,
everybody's
so weird.
wearing
and now I'm like,
you're going out with the Naruto shirts and
it's definitely different. And I don't know, it was just very hard for me because anything I didn't want to feel, I made sure no one else felt, which I mean was exhausting. So I ended up leaving for 8th grade.
You're putting a lot of responsibility on you when it's not necessarily yours.
No, it never was. I just always felt the need to, and that's just how I was growing up. I mean,
That's
still kind of am.
Yeah.
I always like worry about other people because I'm like, a lot of people deal with things they shouldn't have to. But so our group ended up becoming a clique, and I got very upset by that because it wasn't ever supposed to be that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have somewhere that I could go and eat lunch and not feel like I had to be someone who I wasn't.
Yeah.
And then it ended up becoming a clique, and then people started pushing other people out, and I was like, what is going on? We were just supposed to be a table of refugees who
Yeah.
just needed a place to eat lunch and not feel like we had to be someone we weren't. So I got very upset, and then I lost a lot of friends from that. So I ended up moving for 8th grade because my brother moved for middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to a school called Radford. So I was like, I want to go with him. That was probably the worst decision I ever made.
Why is that?
I did a lot of dumb things. So since I had been in an all-girls school, this was the first school I'd been that was a co-ed.
Okay.
So
this is your first 8th grade. It's your first experience going to school with the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Besides, I mean, elementary, but elementary was harmless. So 8th grade was my first year, and it was very different. It was my entire grade of 8th grade was 12 kids. So it's already very small. I went from having 50 kids in my entire class to 12. So I had the same class, and I just did not fit in because all these kids had gone to school together since elementary.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I understood that. So it was very hard for me to make friends. I tried everything. I had a huge pool party before school started that I invited everyone to so I could get to know people. And so I felt better going to school. And it was just not easy. I just did not blend in like how I thought I was going to. Part of me tried too hard, and I did a lot of stupid things that it just did not end up working for me. So I hated being there. I was like, I got really depressed that year too, very anxious because I was so tired of not fitting in. I had no friends.
Well, you're mitigating every little detail about yourself to be accepted at this point, right?
It was not easy.
Talk to me about that because it's so bizarre to me. Like in the all-girls school, you understood that being genuine and being yourself is very important, and you wanted to create that culture. But moving into the co-ed situation, now you're...
It was not my territory. I mean, since I had been at the same school, it was kind of my territory. Okay. I knew it. I was one of the top known people.
You knew how to navigate those waters.
I'm I still know all the girls there. Mm-hmm. So it was my territory that I felt comfortable going around, and I was able to get other people, but going to that, I wasn't necessarily given the same thing, or I would try too hard that I would end up messing up a lot, and I just didn't have a lot of friends my 8th grade year, so I was constantly trying to find, what's the word for it? Exception from guys constantly because I wanted to be liked, and I was and I had a really bad relationship with my mom at this point. My dad was working a lot, so I wasn't close, and I liked the attention. So I was constantly trying to crave attention from the opposite sex, and I got into a lot of stupid things. So it was not easy. I hated that year. And then for high school, I ended up moving to Chapin, which public school. So I go from grade of 12 kids.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Chapin is military?
It is.
Okay.
So that's where the military kids go. So it was definitely different. I almost shitted myself my first day because my class of 12 kids ended up being a class of 40 kids. And I was like, oh my God. So it was definitely different. It was not easy because now I had to prove myself even more because no one knows me there. A lot of these kids went to middle school together. So it's constantly changing schools. It's shit, no one knows who I am again.
I have to build rapport again, and I have to be this.
So I ended up joining tennis, which helped a lot because I made friends there. And that was very easy because our tennis team was so small. I didn't really have to prove myself. I mean, I was not very much. I was very... I don't want to say the word quirky because now that word gets thrown around a lot and it's oh my God, I'm so quirky. But I was a weird, quirky kid. So even
You're not quirky anymore? You're not weird?
I think I am. I'm very weird. I mean, I'm sure he thinks I'm weird. Am I weird?
No comment. Yeah, I agree.
So I felt like I was a very weird kid. So it was not easy because I was very strange and I have a lot of energy, so I don't usually care what people think, so I'd be dancing in the middle of tennis practice. I'd have fun, and a lot of the girls I ended up being friends with because they liked my energy, but then some people were oh my God, she's so annoying. So it was an interesting year.
Well, let me tell you something. If you're loved and liked by everybody, you're doing something wrong. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you want to step on somebody's toes once in a while, let them know that you're here.
And then COVID happened and my parents got divorced, so everything went downhill during COVID. So then I started kind of finding out who my real friends are, because when the divorce happened, a lot of my friends were oh, you'll be fine. And then I had friends who actually cared about what I was going through, and they were very helpful. And then I was you know what, I have too much stuff to worry about. I'm not going to give a shit if people like me or not. I'm done trying to be oh my God, everyone liked me. I was I have too many things to worry about. And I was and my parents getting divorced right now. I have a brother I have to worry about. And I was I'm just going to do what I got to do. So then what was it? That was my sophomore year. Then junior year, yeah, that was, junior year was interesting. November, my junior year, I decided I was going to graduate early. And I had met my best friend my freshman year. But we didn't really become close until my junior year, and it was her senior year. So I ended up graduating with her. And we created a really good friendship where it was, you know what, we love each other, we love who we are, we don't need other people like us. A lot of people didn't like us after that.
How did you do that? How did you, and obviously you didn't take any shortcuts, but it's like you finished school early. Like
yes.
how
Since I had gone to private school for so long, I had a lot of extra credits because they are constantly teaching us a grade above what we need to know. So I only need 3 extra classes to complete my senior year. So I was like, why am I going to go for another year and take 3 classes? And I was like, I wasn't planning on going to college. I'm not a college person. I'm not a school person in general.
I did want to ask you about that. Yes. Like, what are your thoughts on traditional
I'm just
education?
not a college person. I know for the way my brain is wired, college just wasn't going to be a good option for me. And I'm like, people are just wired differently. I'm like, he does amazing in college. I'm like, he's straight A's, super smart, but I just don't have the passion or the attention span for college.
Well, I think a lot of the issue is when we do the college route, you want to make sure again that it's not about the money, that you actually are passionate. Like
I think it's so expensive too that I just didn't think it was worth it.
It seems like a scam, you know. On some point, like there's human sciences, like these degrees that you're like, what is that degree for exactly? Nobody knows, but they're charging you $50,000 per year.
I was like, my dad, he gave me the choice. He's like, if you want to go to college, I will pay for your college. He was like, if you don't want to go to college, figure something else out and I'll support it and I'll help you with that. So I had the option. Like, I never was really going to have to worry about, am I going to have to make college payments and all? I could have easily got scholarships if I wanted to. I was a smart kid, but I just didn't want to. So I was like, you know what? I only need 3 more courses. Banged it out in half a semester. I was able to graduate with my best friend, and she actually just graduated from basics for the infantry.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
so she really was a military kid.
Yeah, she is my definition of a badass.
And she's a bad bitch.
Oh, yeah. She is the baddest bitch I know. I always tell her, I'm like, but she's really like, that's where a lot of my I don't give a fuck personality from her, because I always cared. She's like, why do you care? She's like, so what if they don't like you? What does it matter to you
She's
that they
the
don't
yin
like
to
you?
your yang.
Yeah, she did.
Awesome.
She was like, and just seeing how she didn't care, like if someone didn't like her, she did not give a shit. And I was like, oh my God, I love that. So it started wearing off on me where I was like, you know what? Who doesn't matter to me? You're not my friend. I was like, we're not even going to be relevant in 5 years. So why does it matter to me what you think of me? And I had better friends because of that mindset.
Okay. Yeah, and you have a better relationship with yourself, because
Yes.
now that you're not listening to all the noise in the external world, in your internal world, you could actually look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful. I am in my own divine light, and I am happy.
The confidence helped too, because she's a very confident person, and that she was like, she really like coached me in confidence, because she treats me like a younger sister. Since I am younger than her, she was always like, no, you're not. She was like, do you? And I was like, that rubbed off on me to where I was like, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I'd be here. And I was like, we have a different kind of friendship. We're very strange, but she's super supportive of everything. I'm super supportive of her. We went down very different paths too. We're not alike at all. We're very different, but it works.
I'm going to guess your zodiac sign. You're a Pisces.
No.
No. Okay. Now you could tell me.
I'm a Capricorn.
You're a Capricorn.
Yes.
No, okay. Capricorns. Earth sign. Okay. Yeah,
Like
very
honey.
driven, very driven,
Yes.
very. But I said Pisces because you're very bubbly, you know.
Yes.
But I guess
I think it's the ADHD.
Yeah, I don't see. I actually don't see a Pisces being an entrepreneur. At least not with the same
What are you?
intensity. I'd rather not say.
Are you an Aries?
No.
Oh, okay.
Do I look like an Aries?
No, it's because, so I have this weird, like, theory. I'm not super into zodiac signs and all, but I have only dated Aries, and they worked out terribly. He's a Libra.
Yeah.
And I was like, it works. I've only dated Aries, so there must be a thing with Aries that I don't like. But I'm like, all my friends are Scorpios. All
Really?
my friends are Scorpios.
I'm a Scorpio.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, my best friend's a Scorpio.
That's so bizarre to me, because like I think
I like
we're,
Scorpios
I
as
think
friends.
we're very few around, you know? Like, I'm like, what are you? Not a Scorpio, not a Scorpio. I'm like, where the
I've
fuck are
met
the
like
Scorpios
one other
at?
Capricorn. I'm like,
I think we're not supposed to, like, intermingle with
I don't
ourselves,
think
you know?
so. I'm like, other Capricorns stress me out sometimes.
You know, it's so funny to me because I actually had this internal conversation with myself. I'm like, I wouldn't like myself, like, as a friend, you know?
Oh, I would hate myself as a friend. Like, God, I feel like I'd annoy myself.
I feel like I would, like, treat myself like garbage. I would be a horrible friend to myself.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with another me. Like, that's why even when it came to dating, I was like, I don't need another person who has my energy. I need someone calm because I'm already too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need someone to level out that. That's why I'm like, he's perfectly calm, which helps me out. So I'm like, I can relax.
Okay, so you guys are dating, you guys are friends, etc. But you guys are also working together. Tell me how that dynamic works.
Working in what aspect?
Like, are you guys working at the office, so to speak?
Oh, he helps me out
Yeah?
a lot. Yeah, I'll be like, well, he helps me out, like, especially with building stuff. I suck at building stuff. I always tell him, like, you're like my Bob the Builder. He helps me, like, do my shelf stuff, and, like, when it comes to videos and all, he's always like, drop the hat. He's like, let me know when I need to come in. I got you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we do our modeling stuff together. So that's always fun.
You know what's cool about AZ is, like, he's a very humble man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he always makes me feel like I have a big brother that I can rely on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody that can, like he's not like, oh, spotlight, where I'm right here.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally grabbing the spotlight and shining it on you. He's like, you're here,
It's
you know?
crazy. Yeah, it's just the way he is. It's so easy to be around, and especially because, like, I'm a very emotional person, and I know I can release every emotion, and he's so cool with it because there was, like, this statistic I'd read that, like, guys find women who cry a lot less attractive.
Let me think about that one. Me personally.
And for a while, I was, like, very worried because I do cry a lot. I'm a big crier. Like, I cry when I'm stressed. I cry when I'm sad. Like, that's my way of releasing emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So I would cry a lot with him, and I always, like, felt that. I was like, it's not attractive. Like, I don't want to cry in front of you. And he's like, no, you can always cry on my shoulders. And he's like, this shoulder's for you. So, like, I know whenever, like, he just makes it so easy. He's, like, one of those people you can easily rely on. And I'm like, I know a lot of his friends rely on him. He makes it easy, too.
What would you recommend for women
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
in terms of vetting on a man? Like, the dating scene is, like you said, it's a cesspool that we don't even want to touch.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to even get near. But if we want to fucking have a functioning society, we need to intermingle. We need to connect, and we need to build relationships. So we want to build strong, real connections. But at the same time, it's like, what do you think is a good guideline, you know, when a woman is getting to know a man?
Oh gosh. I just, like, wing it usually. For me, I think it also depends on the person you're talking to and you're with. For me, it was really easy, but I'm one of those people who I suck at communicating. I'm really bad at communicating.
I disagree. I think you're a very effective communicator.
I'm a talkative person, but I don't talk about, like, what I call it, the shit that matters. Like, when something's bothering me, I don't like to affect other people, so I'd rather keep it hidden. And for us, that doesn't work. And I had to learn that because for me, it was like, oh, just, like, ignore it. And, like, you'll be fine. Because I'll be like, oh, no, I'm fine. It's whatever. Like, I'm good.
Be vocal is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
but he's able to read me very well, so he knows when I'm not.
Yeah.
But I know, like, women, we have our issues. I'm like, I know a lot of women don't like to talk about feelings. And, like, for me, feelings are very, like, that's my, like, I'm like, oh, that's how I feel weak. Because I'm like, you know, I want to be a strong woman. I don't want to have, like, shitty emotions. But we've had a talk a lot where it's like, you know what, you need to tell me what's going on in your head so we can work it out. It's that, and it's like, I have bad abandonment issues because I'm like, after my parents got divorced, I was like, someone can easily leave you at any time. It's like, my dad could leave my mom after 20 years. Someone could easily leave me. I'm like, it's been 6 months. He could easily leave me, and it wouldn't. So for me, I was always worried about that. I was like, always like, oh my God, he can leave at any time. So for me, it was very hard to get to the point of, like, fully trusting, like, that you're going to be around for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's not easy. So I always, like, tell my friends, I'm like, you know what? You've got to trust the person. It's like, you might feel like shit if it doesn't work out. And I was like, but it's not going to work if you don't trust the person and you don't open up about these problems.
Bingo. Because going back to my situation, I had zero trust in the like, not me towards the other person, but the other person towards me. Zero trust. Like, I couldn't go out with my friends. And so, like, that translated again into, like, the marriage conversation. It's like, you don't trust me enough to bind your life to mine.
Yeah.
On a legal level or on a spiritual level. So it's like, that's one of the cornerstones for a successful relationship. My advice would be, I had an advice. But there's so many things that you can do when it comes to like meeting somebody and making sure that they're the ones, you know. It's like we already discussed, you know, like don't let passions run too high too fast, because it's gonna come crashing quick. But also it's like, put them in situations, you know, like forcefully put them in situations where like, okay, what type of person is he if I let him know that I have male friends or women friends, you know?
I mean, I think I've put him in a few, like, I don't think I've done it intentionally, but I had gotten into a big fight with my dad at one point, and I had gotten really stressed out, and I called him, it's like at midnight, and he was like, I'm at the gym, and I was like, can you come over real quick, like, just for 5 minutes? And like, I know it's late. Comes over, stays for it was like 20 minutes, because I'm just bawling my eyes out. Made it seem super normal. He didn't like ever complain like, oh, really, it's late, I just got back from the gym, I'm tired. Nope, nothing.
And I understand what you're saying. Like, you didn't like, I'm gonna see
Yeah.
if he's gonna really come through, you know. But it's like, in that moment, he proved to you
It showed a
he
lot.
will come through.
Yeah,
you know?
I was like texting my friends after. I was like, I think I'm in love with this guy. Like, that showed a lot to me.
Really?
Because I was the one who said it first, and I didn't say it for a while. I think it was like, what was it? We started dating like October. It was like 2.5
Okay,
months.
so you dropped the bomb and you're like, I think I'm falling for you.
He knew it though. He knew I was gonna say it soon.
Okay.
Because he's able to read me, which I hate. He was like, I could just tell the way you looked at me and all. And I was like, whatever.
He's psychic. You know that, right?
Yeah. Are you?
He is.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
It makes sense.
Yeah. He's reading our minds right now.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, he was able to read me just so easily. And I was like, there were just certain instances where I would like, when I'd get home, when I was like, oh my God. And I was like, I'm really in love with this person. Like, just the little things he would do. I was like, who's going to come over to my house at like 12:30 in the morning because I'm crying and I've had a bad day? I'm like, he's tired, he's sore. I knew he was exhausted. I knew he was sore, but he wasn't saying anything until the next day when I was like, did I hurt? Because I'm like having my head on his chest. And he's like, yeah, it hurt. I was like really sore. Never mentioned it. And I was like, just so I could cry for a bit and like release it. So it just showed a lot, because he's like, anytime I need him, it's like, even because I would Uber everywhere, he was like, I don't want you Ubering, I'll drive you. I was like, you drive me far places too. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it's just a lot when someone does little things for you.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I'm not saying don't be a bad bitch, because like when the way you explained it to me, it makes sense.
Be a bad bitch, but allow yourself to be spoiled a little bit.
Exactly. Allow a strong
bad.
man to make you, because the bad bitch energy.
Treat you like the queen you are.
Exactly. I mean, that energy in and of itself is like, you're wearing a crown. You're a queen, right? Heavy is the head who wears the crown. So you're probably exhausted after being a bad bitch. You need your strong man, your king, to come and
yeah, that's what's nice. Like,
take
I'll
the
have a
load.
long week of work and all, and like I'm always like falling asleep at his house. It's really bad. Like, I'm always tired. He just lets me crash. Like, I guess I had a dream where I wanted mashed potatoes, and he woke me up to food. I was like, yes.
What is your relationship with caffeine?
Oh, don't laugh at me. I think that says. So for a while, I stopped drinking caffeine because he was super healthy, and I was like, I want to be healthier. I should be fit. So for like a month, I cut out caffeine, and then when I started working again, opened up my own business, I was like, shit, I need my caffeine.
Yeah, I'm sorry for you, but you're gonna have to like overdose on caffeine every single fucking day if you're gonna make this pop.
I
you
do.
know?
I'm like, I have like sodas at the house, but like, I don't feel like, even when I'm like sleeping, I don't really sleep because I'm always having something on my mind. My mind's always racing. So whenever I'm with him, I crash. And he just lets me sleep. It's nice because I'm like, I get exhausted. And since his presence is very calming already, I'm just able to sleep as it is.
That is what I'm understanding from this situation that you guys are in. You know, like, he is your peace for the chaos that you yourself are running into, you know?
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, because it's not necessarily like life is like throwing shit at you. It's like you're running headfirst into the battlefield. You're trying to make something of yourself.
He was super supportive of it too when I told him. I was like, I just quit my job. I'm opening up a business. What do you think? And he was like, do it. I was like, are you sure? He was like, do it. I support you on it. And he has. Like, he's helping me with everything, which is crazy because I was like very worried at first. And I was like, I don't know what he's going to say. I'm just quitting my job like super randomly. No, super easy. But he really is like my peace in my chaotic world. And like my mind is going nonstop all the time. So it's like, it's nice when I'm with him. Like, I'm always like, when we first started dating, we'd laugh because he's like, you're always yawning when you're with me. And I was like, it's not on purpose. I was like, I just get tired. Right. So it's like, I can fully relax when I'm with him and everything kind of stops for a second. So it's nice.
Well, I am so happy for you guys. It is a beautiful thing. Again, you know, like I don't see this often. I see I see couples. Don't get me wrong. I see couples and they're taking pictures and they're in the facilities, you know, where they mingle. But I don't see this. I don't. You guys are a power couple.
Thank
you know, that's that is so rare. You know, because also you see a lot of envy going around, and it's sad when it's been between family, but it's also nefarious when it's in relationships, you know. I've had not naming names, you know, but I've had ex-girlfriends who purposely try to dim my lights, you know, because they feel a little bit like, oh, what the fuck is up with this guy, you know, like like for example, one time I asked this cashier at a Village Inn, because I love the coconut cream pie from that spot, you know. And I was already paying and everything, and I'm thinking, why I always get the coconut cream pie? I'm gonna ask her what her recommendations are. So I was like, hey, like, what pies do you like? Which ones do you get? She was so and so. Oh, okay, thank you. And I'm walking out, and my ex is next to me, pissed off. What the fuck? Why'd you ask her for favorite or favorite dessert? I'm like, it's just like
it's a question.
Yeah, it was a question. I was just being inquisitive because next time we come, we might want to get something else.
Yeah.
Why the fuck do you even care? And yada yada.
Oh gosh.
And it was like situation after situation like that I realized, man, I can't be my fucking self with this chick, you know?
I know for me it's very important. I'm happy as his friends. Like I think everyone needs to have some friends time. So I always made sure like I never wanted to be the girl that's like, you're not going out with your friends. Like, you're spending time with me. I was like, no, have fun with your friends. I'm like, go to the gym with the guys. Have fun. Let me know how it goes. Like, let me know if there's any, like, news or anything. And, like, it's nice because one of his best friends, I get along with his sister really well, so we'll go to the gym together. So it's nice because I enjoy being with them, too. But I'm like, I think it's important. But, I mean, I don't think I've had any instances where I get jealous. I mean, there was one girl I was concerned about just because she was really pretty. So it's, like, the insecurity where I was just like, oh, okay. And I was like, but I was telling him, I was like, I don't want you to have to like change the way you talk to anyone because I'm insecure about something. I was like, that's something I need to get over.
Wow.
And I was like, because I need to trust you and not be like, so he was like, do you want me to block her? I will block, I won't talk to her anymore. And I was like, no. And I was like, don't do that. And I was like, that I shouldn't control that.
That exchange is a very healthy exchange because he is absolutely in his right to fucking talk to whoever the fuck he wants, however the fuck he wants, as long as he's not crossing that line, right? But in reality, it's like the fact that he even said, do you want me to, like, that's just...
It was the option that I had to where I could say, hey, I don't want you to talk. It was reassuring because I was like, okay, you know what? I have the option to say, hey, I don't want you talking to her anymore. And I was like, but that's not my place to say that. I was like, I'm not in his life to control him. I'm here to support him, not be like, no, you're not doing that. And I was like, if I'm insecure, that's on me. That's not on her. That's not on him.
You need to, if you have like this unbalanced view of what you're seeing. Oh, okay, they're flirting. Oh, she's prettier than me, or whatever. Or he's handsomer than me. That's the me problem, you know. And when you make it a you problem, it's like it's your problem that she's pretty and she's. It's like, how does that make sense? In what world does that make sense?
Because he had modeled with her, so I had seen the pictures and I was like, oh, she's really pretty, and I was like, she has nice boobs and all, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like she has the things I was insecure about myself. I was like, she had, and I was like, oh gosh. So like I would see her text him, and I was like, I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to make a big deal of it. And he's like, I know it bothers you, and I was like, it's fine though. And I was like, that's not my point to say. And he's like, if you don't want me talking to her, I won't. And I was like, no, like what am I going to do and say, no, don't talk to her? And I was like, no, I'm like, I trust you that you're not going to do anything, so there's no point for me to be like, no, you're not going to talk to her. And I think women are so controlling nowadays.
Yes,
that,
big time.
Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be stressed having to control his life while I'm still trying to get mine together and figure out my shit. Like, I don't need to, take control of two lives. It's like, he has his own. He's a man. He can figure out things.
Exactly. And security is it's a poison that just grows and grows, and then you pass it over to the next person, you know. And then, like, if you're insecure, in my case, if she was insecure, I started to get insecure. Not because social media was a big no-no and all this stuff. And so, what the fuck you mean no? And you're on TikTok doing your stupid dances, and I cannot fucking talk my shit. All right,
Yeah, you're like,
you know.
weird.
But then I'm like, I'm adopting these toxic traits, and I'm like, no, enough, enough with this,
He lets me post whatever too. I've had some friends who are like, my boyfriend won't let me post this, and I'm like, I'll post whatever the hell I feel like. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's my Instagram account. He's never had a problem with anything. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna post this. I'm like, he's all over my Instagram account. So I just think it's weird how like you have to have a lot of energy to control someone else's life. I'm like, what's the point in doing that? That's not a relationship. It's like you're not his mother. Don't mother him.
Exactly. Like we have been children for as many years as we were children. We were teenagers as many years as we were children, and then we're transitioning to adulthood only to find ourselves in a relationship where we're being babied and we're being looked after as if we're children. Like, hey, let me breathe, okay? I'm gonna go hit the gym. I'm not gonna flirt with no girls. I'm not gonna talk to anybody. I'm just gonna go clear my mind, and then I'll be back.
Yeah, it's funny because girls will be like, oh, I see you going to the gym, and I'm over here like, have fun at the gym, babe. And I was like, let's get the like, look at your arms. Yours look so nice. Oh my god, look at that. Yeah. And like, I think it's super cool. I like that he's done that.
He's blushing over there, babe.
It's because I'm always like, I get excited for him. Like, I know I don't go to the gym as much. I'm like, when I go, he's always like trying to, he's like, nice, look at those. And I'm like, oh my god, there's nothing there. But
well, let me tell you the truth. Like, Arnold wouldn't work out as often as he does now, but once he started working out, man, he just fucking got massive out of nowhere.
I'm like, what the? And he goes like daily. I'm like, I don't know how he has that much self-discipline. Like, he has a lot of self-discipline. I don't have that. He's like, yeah, I won't eat it because like it's not good for me. I'm like, but chocolate sounds really good today.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, he's like, nope, I can't eat it. And I was like, but I want to eat it. He's like, you can get it. I just won't eat it. And I'm like, well, that's no fun because I don't want to eat it without you eating it. So. I think I broke his diet a little bit when we first started dating.
We'll have him have like a cheat day, like a disciplined cheat day where he's gonna fucking pick. No, he said no. Okay, no cheat days for Arnold. Like I said,
I know.
Look,
I ruined that. Yeah.
That motherfucker is operating at a higher octane, man. If you guys haven't seen the fucking podcast, you guys need to tune in, man, because he fucking let me know what's up, and he's letting everybody know what's up, It's like. This isn't just a facade. This is literally how I operate. Like in my mind, I am very organized. I am very disciplined. I am very strong, and it translates in every facet of my life.
Yeah, he's like mentally, like, oh my god, it's crazy. Like he's so self-disciplined. I'm like, I don't have that. So like when he's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna eat that because like I can't. I'm like, but why? And I was like, just like one. He's like, no, not just one. I was like, just one. Because when we first started dating, he was like, no carbs at all. So I got nachos, and I was like, you just have to have one, just one. Please. And he was like, I can't. And I was like, please, just one. And then I'm always getting food. I'm like, let's get Wendy's. I want popcorn. So I don't help that. And I always say,
yeah, well, women are here for two things: to make us better man, and then to have us break diets once in a while. Yeah.
Yes, I'm like, I enjoy food, and I'm like, I always feel bad because I'm like, I don't want to eat by myself. So I'm like, you have to eat with me. I was like, we're gonna have fun. Let's get popcorn from the movie theater. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of movies, are you guys gonna watch Avatar, or have you guys already watched it?
First one?
No, the new one,
Not
The Way of the Water. What?
Yeah.
That face is not what I was expecting. I thought you were gonna be like, oh my god, yes. Why?
Action movies. I love scary movies.
Have you seen the first one though?
Oh, I don't know when. Like forever ago. It wasn't.
Like the blue aliens.
Obviously, if I don't remember, it wasn't that good to me.
Okay, yeah. And that's valid.
I love scary movies. I mean, my mom took me to come watch a scary movie with us.
No, I'm a scaredy cat.
Both of them are terrible. They laugh the entire time over here. Like,
are you serious? I remember I went with my group of friends when we were teenagers, and I think we went to see Insidious.
Oh, that's so good.
I was the only one screaming, and everybody was laughing at me.
No, I was like getting all nervous, and I was like, oh my god. And him and my mom were both like, this is what happens. I call it, and I'm like, stop. And they're all he like laughs. I'm like, stop laughing. It's not funny. I'm like, oh my god. He's all, I'm like, why are you laughing? And I'm like, oh gosh. But I love scary movies. I'm not really into action movies or anything. So.
What about suspense? Can you do suspense?
Sometimes.
Kind of
there are some, but like there are some movies that get my anxiety up too high to where I can't enjoy it because I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So it depends on the movie. I'm like, we have like our shows that we watch and all.
Like what? They drop me some playlists.
Right now it's 60 Days In.
60 Days In. Which show is that?
The one where they're in jail for 60 days.
Oh yeah. yes. On True TV.
Mm-hmm. We've been watching that. That was his show that he picked because originally I made him watch Modern Family. And then
Modern Family's good.
yeah, and then well, we watch 60 Days in at his house, and then at mine we watch Shark Tank.
Shark Tank is the best.
So it depends on whose house we're at now.
You guys have you guys have culture, you know.
Yeah, and then
Kevin
it's Key
O'Leary?
and Peele at my mom's.
I was just watching Key and Peele today.
Oh my god.
The boss man at work, he was watching that shit, and he's like, dude, come over here. And then he showed me the racist zombies.
That's my mom. My mom and him. My mom and him have the same sense of humor, so they'll like laugh at it and like watch it. Because for my fashion show, my makeup artist did my makeup terribly, so I had my mom fix it for me. She's like, "Here, you can watch this." So she puts Key and Peele on while he's sitting on the couch. I'm like, "What is going on?" But they have the same sense, like dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating. I'm like, "Oh my god."
Oh my god. Well, listen, I've had a lot of fun today. How about we call it a night?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I definitely want to have you guys back on. Maybe, like I said, I'm gonna upgrade the hardware. Maybe have a three-way. Not that's a three-way podcast. My bad. My bad, Arnold. Maybe have a. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Laters.
Here with the warrior poet, spitting out the facts, artillery loaded, perfecting our craft, yeah you know we devoted. I know what I want, so I'm staying focused. You hitting up my line, it's on do not disturb. Don't need a fool who can't even back up his words. Had to burn bridges and take different roads. You might think I'm toxic, but homie, I got goals.